We are officially 75 days out from the start of training camp for the Philadelphia Eagles, for many teams in the National Football League. I think that's by design. Tonight, the order of the schedule comes out. We'll take a look at that. Some of the games have started to leak out. I love how the NFL does that. How about that? The NFL has its own day for a schedule release. I mean, only the NFL could come up with something like that to make content with. And I do think it matters. Like, would you not agree? If you are the Miami Dolphins, you want to play all of your northern games, like with New England, on the road early. You don't want to go up to Buffalo, and you don't want to go up to New England in December. I think those games matter like that for them, especially a team like Miami. You start getting those cold games where you're going up there in December, that matters. That matters in travel. Can you imagine you have to go Buffalo, then you have to go New England in back-to-back weeks if you're the Dolphins? That's an issue. By the way, we appreciate everybody coming aboard. Thank you again. You guys have been absolutely sensational. Let's see if we can try to get that number above 260 today. I saw somebody say, let's try for 275. I'd love to do that. When it comes to likes, guys are killing it. Absolutely killing it. We appreciate you guys so much. I know you have other options, and you come here each and every single day, and we thank you so much. Make no mistake about that. You guys have made something here that some of the people in Philadelphia really don't like. Okay? Truth. And we appreciate you guys. And it is you. Hey, it's one thing for me, and I'm kind of the voice. But there's one thing when you guys come in here and you disagree. That's what we love about it. Can I tell you why I think people hate some of the things we're doing here on JAKIB Sports? It's the only show where you have dialogue, where people have debate. This is a true debate. This is a debate show. This isn't a one-sided conversation. Nobody here has one-sided conversations. There's no such thing here. And I think people hate that, which is free speech. You get an opportunity to go, you're full of shit, Sileo. You're a troll, Sileo. You're just saying that, Sileo, when I'm not. But you get that opportunity to say that. That's right, CZ is one of the most important things, Xander. See that, Xander? Right there, CZ. Plus, you don't get banned if you disagree. It's the only show in Philly. They won't put you on. Xander will put you on and keep you there as long as we're inside the reservation and we're not going nuts. Right there, man. I think that's the key to the show. Right there. No one gets banned. I've had some of you guys go after my daughter in a loving way. It's all good. It's all good, man. I don't get twisted like that. I welcome you guys. The National Free Speech Show. Thank you, man. That's actually pretty damn cool that you would say that and put us in that category. I like it. Thank you. You know, I will say this. Mark Holmes likes to suspend Eagle fans. Well, don't worry, senor. I think you ran him off. He's not on today. Okay? I don't know. You know, it's funny what you guys have done to me. And Xander's a prime example of this right here. He's a prime example of it. And you know what that is? Sileo's going to talk all the shit in the world on the Eagles, but when someone starts talking shit on the Eagles, and he starts talking shit on the Eagles, or someone starts talking shit on them, hey, all of a sudden you got me going, hey, what's that done, dude? What's Jerry done in 30 years? Let's be candid here. You got your doorknobs knocked off by the Arizona Cardinals. you catch me defending you, and I do that seemingly on a daily basis now. Sue goes, Mark, I don't know. Get this, he didn't even send me a text. He sent Xander the text. Yeah, can't come on Wednesday. I don't know. I was like, okay. So maybe he got a little nervous, as everyone else does that follows the show and watches the show. We got a bunch of good topics here today. Hey, can I make a random comment? Xander said something yesterday at the start of the program that I thought about all last night. I want to broach this with you here and throw this off at you here. Isn't it kind of, I don't know if the word ironic is right, but how about this? Do you find it interesting that the only two people that the Eagles get pissed off that if you criticize or have any constructive criticism towards is Jalen Hurts and Howie Roseman? If you have any criticism towards those two guys, they get butthurt. They absolutely get butthurt. Anyone else? AJ Brown's open for season. And you know what's even more crazy? I know some of you actually sit here and think that I criticize the Eagles. Let me ask you this. Have I ever criticized Jordan Mailata? No. Have I ever criticized Landon Dickerson? No. Have I ever criticized Devontae Smith? No. Have I ever criticized Josh Sweat? No. I mean, have I ever criticized Jason Kelsey? No. Have I ever criticized Lane Johnson? No. Have I ever criticized Fletcher Cox when he was playing? No. You guys make it sound like I sit here and just slash people all day. It's not true. Those guys are star football players. Now, maybe they have a bad play here or there, or maybe a couple sequences in a series that you question, like a guy gives up a set. That's one thing. But you've never heard me be overly critical towards those players. Like ever. I would DeAndre Swift, I couldn't believe how well he played last year. You didn't hear me criticizing. I wasn't criticizing him. He had a career year. Right? So when you guys are saying that I criticize the football team, it's not true. I criticize the most important people that have to carry the team. Those are the folks that have to carry it. The coach, the quarterback, the coordinators, the general manager, to some extent the owner. Those are all the main pieces to the engine that win you championships. Okay? And by the way, even so much with that when it comes to A.J. Brown, you don't hear me criticizing the guy saying that this guy's a bad football player. You've heard me say he's one of the top 3 wide receivers in the National Football League, and his numbers speak to it. I defend the guy's play all the time. Now, look, did I think he kind of didn't show up towards the end of the season last year? Yeah. But that was everybody. Could have been play calling, quarterback play. All of that worked. But this guy's over 3,000 yards in the last 2 years. He's pretty effective. You can't criticize his play. You criticize the behavior of the position mostly when it comes to that position with the diva guy. That's where I'm at with him. Do I think that A.J. Brown's a bad player? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Did Sills just say he hasn't criticized players? That's all we have to heard is criticism. No, Daniel. That's not what you heard. You hear what you want to hear is my point. See, Daniel just heard what he wanted to hear. When have you ever heard me criticize Jordan Mailata? Or Lane? Or Kelsey? Or Landon? Or Devontae? Or Josh? When did you hear that? Where did you hear that? Have you ever heard me criticize Lane Johnson? Have you ever heard me criticize Lane Johnson? Maybe a play? Just Kobe Dean? Well, he's a starter who sucks. Yes. I can't believe we scared off Mark Holmes. Congratulations. I don't know if he'll ever come back. I think you guys beat him up pretty good last week. And I think he surrendered. I think he threw the white flag up. Good for you guys. Holy cow. Big Sills Army. The Big Sills Army, though, you know what you guys are? You're like Mutiny on the Bounty. Hey, Sills, we'll throw your ass overboard, too. Hey, you know what you're going to do to Big Sills? You'll Josh Innes me anytime I get a little bit crazy. You'll Josh Innes me. Is that what you guys are saying? Don't go there. I actually like Josh. Okay? I actually like Josh. That's right, man. I don't know why. He got a little... Hey, because you know why? Because Cowboy Guy can't fight back. He has no tools to fight back. The only tool he has to fight back is the star. And that has nothing to do with championships anymore. Has nothing. Has no bearing. All right, let's get into the topic. By the way, some of the games have been released when it comes to the Eagles schedule. We'll get to that. I didn't write down every single team in this, but for me, some of the biggest question marks league-wide when it comes to certain football teams as we go in to 75 days away from the start of the true football season and training camp. I'm also going to get into my breakout Eagles this year. And I'm going to make a proclamation here. I don't even know if this is a topic. It's more of a statement. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have made a mistake. And I listened to the interview today on WIP with the drafting of Quinyon Mitchell. I would have took Teron Arnold from Alabama. I think he's the safer pick. Who's a better athlete, Sills? Mitchell. Who's a better player? Arnold. Who had a better college career? Arnold. Look at what Eagle fan says. Arnold is slow. Yeah, well, when you play against Southeastern Conference wide receivers on a week-to-week basis, you might look slow. When you play against Mid-America Conference wide receivers every week, you might look fast. Mitchell played against nobodies. Nobodies. Sounds like a great kid. By the way, I'm pulling for him. But personally, I'm taking the guy who plays against better people on a day-to-day basis and on a weekend basis. Every single day that Teron Arnold put on a helmet, he was playing against the most elite players in the country. Every day. And most of them were in practice Monday through Friday. And he performed for Nick Saban. By the way, I'm not telling you that Mitchell's not a better athlete. That's not what I'm saying here. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? That's not what I'm saying. But you can't deny the facts and the truth. Facts is Mitchell played against nobodies. Arnold played in the toughest conference against the toughest players for 4 years or 3 years, whatever he was at Alabama. Khalil Mack came from Buffalo. Different college football world, Eagle fan. Stop doing that. There was no transfer portal when Khalil Mack was in college. He would never have stayed at the University of Buffalo. He would have went to Syracuse or he would have went to Notre Dame. Different. Marvin Harrison had had a 65-yard touchdown on him. And they destroyed him. They put 70 on him. Arnold was getting burned by wide receivers too, and went up. Hey, Chip, who has your guy played against? High risk. There you go, Daniel. High risk, high reward. That's right. That's a great way to look at it. You may have drafted, hey, Daniel, you may have drafted, and Twisco's #1 ranked corner out of the combines. How'd that work out for you with Nolan Smith? I'm not drafting anybody because they had a great combine. I'm drafting somebody because of game tape. That's what I'm drafting. Sauce Gardner, I just said that, Ty. How many Sauce Gardners do you think are in the Mid-America Conference? Every 10 years. One? How about this? Can you name me another University of Toledo player that's in the league? Can you name me one? Name me one player from Toledo. One. That's right, Andrew. At least Nolan Smith played in the SEC. That's my point. You don't begrudge Howie for drafting a guy from the Southeastern Conference off a two-time national champion and going, well, Nolan Smith has been a disappointment because of where he came from. Kareem Hunt. How many years ago was that he was drafted? 11? If you can play, you can play. Not in today's college football. If you can play, you don't stay at a small conference. Saban had one person on his team, but wanted the other player. I think he wanted both players. Teron Butler and him. I'm not suggesting to you that you're taking this wrong, and once again, you're being personal. Stop being personal with this stuff. I'm just making a proclamation that I'm going with more of a sure thing. Now, to some of you's points, you'd go like this. So you would have taken Nolan Smith over Khalil Mack. Probably. Yeah. Probably. He was not destroying wide receivers at the Senior Bowl. That's a bold-faced lie. Most scouts who were at the Senior Bowl said during the week he was getting killed and he looked common. In the game, I thought he played pretty well in the game, actually. But when it came to Monday through Friday and the two-a-days, when they were in Mobile, he looked common. Okay? Saban wanted to replace Arnold with Mitchell. Not true. Not true. Not true at all. There's two cornerbacks, dude. And both were drafted in the first round. Okay? So you're telling me that Saban wanted to replace Teron Arnold when he got drafted in the first round also. Is that correct? Just a couple picks later. Really? Made up. Trump news. Fake news. Kool-Aid didn't get drafted in the first round. Did he? I must have missed that, senor. You're saying that Kool-Aid's a better player? He went in the second round. Teron Arnold went in the first round. I got to double check that. Didn't Teron Arnold go in the first round? Or did I miss that? Yeah, he went to Detroit with the 24th pick. He was 2 picks later. Replaced Kool-Aid. Not Arnold. Why would Saban want to replace a first rounder? See, thinks he's slick there, but... Oh, wait. So Saban wanted to replace Teron Arnold, who was the second best corner evaluated in the draft, and some thinks the best corner in the draft, for a guy who went in the second round. Is that right? Wow. not how it works. You're making that up to make your guy sound better. He only went 2 picks later. You're making that up. He went 2 picks later to Detroit, 22 and 24. That's right. Arnold and Mitchell would have been the starters if that had played out the way Saban wanted it, and you probably would have put Kool-Aid in the slot. Okay, I mean, what's the issue with the Pixels? It's not, Denny, it's not really an issue. To me, it's more of a gamble. 64% of the cornerbacks that get drafted in the last 15 years have failed. Don't you want to go with the guy who played in the best conference with the best opponents against the best teammates in the country on a day-to-day basis? I think it's a gamble and by the way, I love listening to the kid today. Kid wants to win. He sounds like a winner. He's got humble beginnings. He's got loyalty. He wants to play in Philly. He has every single thing you want to hear from a rookie. And it's really a great character draft pick with ability. How will that play out and pan out? To me, is still a bigger gamble. All of that stuff makes you embrace the kid that I just said. I don't have a problem with the guy except his resume. And I'm not talking about his physical skill set resume. What I'm talking about is his game resume. Okay? Hey, Martin, to sit there and say that Quinyon Mitchell is Sauce Gardner is a reach. That's like saying that Teron Arnold is Patrick Surtain. That's a reach. That's a reach. Howie likes looking like a genius. He wants credit for odd school picks. Andrew, well, you got that one and the kid in the 3rd round that you took from Christian Houston or Houston Christian or whatever the hell it was. The former Cornell player, whatever, the Yale guy, or Colgate, whatever it was. I mean, you got 2 picks in the draft. To me, again, like Brian Baldinger said yesterday, I really liked the Keegan pick, the kid from Michigan. His resume, but keep in mind, he's the one that turned down and all. I understand this. You know why he turned it down? He turned it down because he didn't qualify to get his grades. He had to stay at home to get his grades up so that he can go into college. And no school had offered him a scholarship or wanted to stick with him but Toledo. And also, what's the other common denominator? The head football coach was roommates with Nick Sirianni when they were in college. So there is a communication between the two that Howie felt comfortable with. You know what? If this sounds critical, it's not. I think it's a gamble. That's all I'm saying. And to me, I would have went at that position where you have more failure rate, not just the Eagles. It's a league-wide failure rate. 64% of the corners that have been drafted in the last 15 years have failed. And you're going to take one from a small school. Okay? I don't like those odds because that raises it to 70%. And then plus with the fact that Howie's not been successful at corner, that's even higher. I listened to him today. Like I said, CJ Stroud went to Ohio State. He won't be good in the NFL. No, what I said is that no Ohio State quarterback has ever been good or all-pro at all or really been any kind of star in the 150 years of the Ohio State program. And if you're using that benchmark, that he'll be the first corner to be an all-pro from Toledo, the difference between Toledo and Ohio State is monumental. Ohio State and Toledo are not compatible. It's like comparing Alabama to Alabama State or Grambling. You can't compare them. It's not comparable. So just keep this in mind. Okay? Just keep this in mind. All right. I see Teron Arnold will be a better cornerback than Quinyon Mitchell because he's been. Hey, would we not agree with this? Who's been prepared better for the NFL, Arnold or Mitchell? Who's been prepared better? Who's been prepared better? Mitchell or Arnold to play corner in the NFL? Who's prepared better? James Arnold. Christopher, thank you, my friend. Guys, please hit the like button. Mark Mitchell, because he's got Vic Fangio. That's not prepared for the NFL. He's not coming into the NFL prepared like Arnold is. Arnold had Saban. Power of the individual? What's that mean? Power of Christ compels me? Mitchell will be prepared going against AJ and Devontae. That's a great take, Mark. Mark, that's a great take. That's a great take. Put that up, Xander. That Mark sacrifices chickens. That's a great take. That right there is a great take. That's why I got Arnold, because he's prepared by all those great wide receivers like Devontae. Don't you get it? Arnold played against Devontae. That's a great take. Mitchell is a natural NFL-ready player. Not true. No such thing. No such thing. I don't care who you are, what school you're from. That's not true. NFL players versus college players, it's not true. Certain guys will have the game slower so that they can adapt to it quicker. That ain't him from the MAC. Jalen Carter ran out of gas. Even he went through the trials and tribulations of being an NFL rookie. Once again, Chip not telling the truth. Where was he in the last 7 games? He hit the rookie wall. Well, that's the NFL. Sills, what do you think of the schedule? We're going to get to that. I promise you. We're going to get to the schedule and its importance here. If you had, let's move on here. If you had to pick one Philadelphia Eagle, this is going to be the Big Sills breakout Eagles in 24. I've got 3 of them. I've got 3. Who would your 3 be? Who would your 3 be for the Eagles? Who would they be? The 3 breakout Eagles. Jalen Carter. Like it. Sills, how important do you think that position coaches are in the development of the players? Sam, that's a great question. I think a ton, because there's more skill set at corner. I think it's the second most important position on the field, including wide receiver, quarterback, and corner. I think that is a skill set, man, that very few people have. By the way, I think you got to be the greatest athlete on the field, and I think you have to have a tremendous skill set and knowledge of the game to play corner in today's NFL. You really can't tackle anybody, and you're running backwards against world-class sprinters. It's impossible to play. Martin says Bryce Huff. breakout. Sinbad's got Jalen Hurts. A little late for that. You paid him 50 and you're hoping for a breakout season. Carter, Williams, and Gardner Johnson. Gardner Johnson, Barkley. What do you mean break? Those guys are all established. Gardner Johnson and Barkley, you know what they are. They're not going to have breakout seasons. They're already, you know what they are. You already, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis. Not bad, Steve. Trotter, White, Carter, DeJean. All right. Let me get to my three. My three are a little different. And these three guys have a lot to prove. And one guy, it's about elevating. So let's start out with Milton Williams. I think Milton Williams has a chance to become the best defensive lineman on that team this year. He is a good athlete. He benches over 500 pounds. Clint Hurt loves him. Says, Dan, his inside moves. He is going to be able to set the edge. I said, this guy played interior, dude. How do you have him out in a 5 technique? He's like, he can play it. I've actually dropped him in a 7 technique when we went to nickel, and he can play it. I mean, the way Clint Hurt has been talking to me, he makes it seem that this guy has not been given enough snaps, that he needs more snaps. And the more snaps he gets, the better he's going to be. I think you got a chance to have 3 of the best defensive linemen. If Jordan Davis takes to that nose position, and I agree with Baldy yesterday, if Jordan Davis gives me 2 sacks or 3 sacks, okay, great. Don't expect 10, 6, 5. That's not what he is. I told you that on draft day. And remember what Baldy said? Remember Xander? I wasn't against the pick because I said he reminds me of Vince Wilfork. He's that guy, like Vince, Sam Adams, like a Via Veda down in Tampa. He's that guy. He's that guy. These expectations that you think he's the next Fletcher Cox are over the top. He's never going to establish himself as that. Now, he may have a year like that where he has an exceptional season, but that'll be a one-of, like Brandon Graham's 10-sack season in his career. I think he only had 1. So he may have one of those. Midnight goes, all I care that he stopped. That's all Vic Fangio cares. Did you hear what Mike Zimmer saying about Mozzie Smith? That Dan Quinn completely outplayed and didn't have him in a proper position to play in Dallas. He tried to play him in a 3 technique. I told you, Mozzie Smith is not a 3 technique. He's a 1 technique and a 2-gapper. What in the world were the Dallas Cowboys thinking on Mozzie Smith in a 3 technique, thinking he was going to play like Fletcher Cox or Reggie White? It's asinine to think that guy was completely miscoached last year. So 304, you actually may have an argument that guy may have a bounce back year because now you have a coach. Mike Zimmer's even going like this. We got to go back to basics. Proper hand placement, how to play a 2 technique, how to play a 1 technique, have him inside, 2 gapping. I mean, and see, Chip, Tooth, Eagle, Mozzie Smith wasn't lazy. He didn't know how to play the position. So you look lazy because you're late. They're beating you off the line of scrimmage because they have you in not a proper technique. It's not laziness. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know how to play the technique that Dan Quinn asked him to play. Dan Quinn miscoached him. He did not coach him correctly. Nick, he may blow, but the coach didn't help him. And it cost him a year. He may suck. But Mike Zimmer goes like this. What are they doing playing him in a 3 technique? It's like playing me at nose. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm coming from a place of failure. You take a guy who was a 3 technique. I was a 3 technique. I wasn't a 2-gapper. I wasn't a nose. I didn't know how to play it. I looked lazy, and I was never lazy. I was late. I was late because they were getting front side on me because I didn't know how to play the technique. You guys can call it all you want. You've never been in there. You have no idea what you're talking about, and you've never been inappropriately coached. So you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm not defending Mozzie Smith. I'm defending the fact that that coach didn't give a shit about playing him in a proper position and teaching him the proper technique. That's your job, Dan Quinn. It's not your job to try to fit him into your defense. You needed to fit him. You needed to fit into his skill set. That's poor coaching. That's poor coaching. Seals, you said that didn't matter last year with our Eagles. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Well, no, because I don't think you had poor coaching. I don't think Tracy Rocker's a bad coach. I think Tracy Rocker's a great defensive line coach. And when you fired Sean Desai, you were 10-2. He had beaten the Bills and the Chiefs and the Cowboys. What are you talking about? Coaching malpractice, beating Mahomes, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford? Really? So you think that's bad coaching that Sean Desai had? He was 10-2, and he had beaten Mahomes, Dak, and Allen in consecutive weeks. Really? Okay. Wow. This guy beat Mahomes and Allen and Dak in 3 consecutive weeks. That's bad coaching. And you can also add the Miami Dolphins into that. They held Tua down with Tyreek Hill and Waddle. Really? So you beat Tua, Mahomes, Dak, and Josh Allen in consecutive weeks, and that's shitty coaching. And you were 10-2 when you fired him. Okay. Yeah. Okay. James said, Sills, worse yet, they had him lose 30 pounds to 290. He doesn't play it. That's even more ridiculous. Because, yeah, you know why? Mozzie tried to – Mozzie, because, you know, I'm going to tell you what happened to him, James. And I'm going to get back into the Eagles here and Milton Williams. Look at this. Mozzie thought he had to lose weight because he couldn't believe how slow he was off the ball. The player had no idea why he was getting beat off the ball like that. The coaches weren't helping him. It wasn't his weight. It's not his skill set. They screwed that kid up so bad, I guarantee you he wanted to quit. Because he couldn't believe he was getting blocked so easily by guys he can handle. It happens. When you're so dominant like that, and they put you in a foreign position, not knowing anything about the position, and telling you to go fetch it, you don't know what you're doing. These are professional NFL 10-year veteran guards, 7-year guards who have all the tricks in the book and are as strong and fast, sometimes faster than you. Tubes goes, Sills, do you agree Mozzie sucks? I don't. Do you agree Jordan Davis sucks? I do not believe Jordan Davis sucks. I think he's been out of position. If Jordan Davis has been played out of position, why can't Mozzie Smith have been played out of position? Why don't you use those same metrics for other players? Josh Allen got Ken Dorsey fired. Jalen Hurts got Brian Johnson fired. No, he didn't. Oh, okay. Okay. Jordan Davis is not a 3 technique. He's a nose. Do I think that Jordan Davis is a better player than Mozzie Smith? Yeah. Do I think he's a better athlete? Absolutely. But you can save that draft pick in Dallas. You can save that draft pick. Okay? With better coaching. I'm not comparing them. I just freaking told you. Wait a minute. Jordan Davis has blown as a 3 technique. Let's see what he does at nose. Hey, whatever. Mike Zimmer is a heck of a coach. By the way, Mike Zimmer has a Super Bowl ring on his finger. Vic has nothing near that. So don't be talking that Mike doesn't know what he's talking about, because he does. He's one of the most respected defensive coaches in the league, Mike Zimmer. I'm not saying Vic's not, but Vic is not as accomplished as Mike Zimmer. Zimmer's got a Super Bowl ring. So you think Zimmer will do better for that? I do. Let's not forget something, too. Dan Quinn didn't realize that what he had with Micah Parsons until they had a couple injuries at the perimeter and they put his hand in the dirt and he started rushing the passer. They were dropping him in coverage in the beginning of his rookie season. Remember that. Eagles beat Zimmer like a drum. Yeah, okay. Super Bowl ring. And get this. You see what that guy Christopher just said? Eagles beat Zimmer like a drum. Well, Brian Johnson beat the shit out of Vic Fangio this past season like a drum. True or false? True or false? True or false? Yeah. Okay. Circle back. I think Milton Williams is going to be your breakout player of the year for the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. Hey, Jay, what's made up? That Mike Zimmer has a ring? That Brian Johnson beat Vic Fangio's ass into the dirt at the Lincoln Financial? Is that fake? Probably to your ears. Miami players didn't believe in Vic. Oh, but the Eagle ones will, right? I believe they will. Look at midnight. Will show up too if that tackle gets injured. Okay, appreciate it. Brian Johnson didn't do jack. Well, Brian Johnson beat Vic Fangio. Every guy in your offense had a career year except the QB. He didn't do jack? Well, you should ask Devontae Smith about his pay raise and A.J. Brown about his pay raise and see if they didn't do jack, because somebody got raises because of Brian. Did they not? Oh, I see. That didn't work for him. It's only the players. I got it. Yeah, all right. Sales Carter looks in way better shape than last season. I'm thinking all pro this year with AD retiring. Those first 2 weeks and those first 2 months of the season, I thought Jalen Carter was the best interior defensive tackle in the league, including Aaron Donald. That shows you again the difference between a flash in the pan and being a legitimate all-pro NFL player. That's 17 weeks you got to do it. You can't do it for 2 months and then go to sleep for the remaining 4. You've got to do that on a consistent basis. And that's the one thing that I hope that Jalen Carter takes away from playing next to Fletcher Cox. You know, I'll say this to you about Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox played his ass off every single game. He was prepared every game. And, man, it was a privilege to watch him play. He was a great football player. Just an absolute testament to the position, to the legacy of the defensive tackle position in Philadelphia. He's in the line of Jerome Brown and all those great players that have played at that position. Fletcher Cox was a privilege to watch. He was just a privilege to watch. His preparation, his game tenacity, how he got after people, how he made critical plays in critical moments all the time. He's a 3-down D lineman. He played the run well. Donald never did. Fletcher Cox is going to be missed. He's going to be missed. He's going to be missed. Okay? Now Carter got that NFL lungs. That's right, Pete. That's what that is. You got to get that NFL body built up. One of the greatest things, Pete, that was ever told to me was by Eric Dickerson. And I know this is going to sound crazy. Eric Dickerson's first year in the league, he had 1,800 yards rushing. He said the last 2 weeks of the season, he couldn't believe the difference between playing in college at SMU and playing for the Rams. And they had the best O-line in football back in those days. He goes, he knew he had to be ready the next year and train more. He went for 2105. Imagine that. His first 2 seasons in the league, Eric Dickerson went for 4,000 rushing yards. 4,000 rushing yards in 2 seasons. His first 2 years, Dickerson went for $4,000 in a 16-game schedule. In 32 games, regular season, he went for $4,000. And he said he had to be in better shape. And you're like, because he was carrying the ball 325 times. I've never played against a better running back in my life than that guy. I had my greatest few highlights I ever had. I've posted it before on Twitter. I knocked this guy out, and I mean it. I knocked him out, knocked his helmet off, chin strap off. I'll post it on my Twitter page after the show on me taking Dickerson out. You know what he did? He got back up. Xander, you'll love this. He got back up after I knocked him out and went for 192 yards. Tough, great, unbelievable. 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 I've never seen anything like it. How great that guy. When he was 6'4". Hey, tougher than Bo Jackson? Well, Bo didn't last, did he? Dickerson is in Canton. Great player, Bo. Could have been that. Dickerson's the greatest thing I've ever seen, though, because it was over a period of time. Remember, availability counts, especially at that position. I mean, what a shame for Bo. It is. It is. Absolutely. Bo was sensational. I played against Bo in college and the pros. Just phenomenal. Best running backs I ever played against were Bo, Herschel Walker, Eric Dickerson, Walter Payton, Roger Craig. You guys probably don't know the name Gerald Riggs, Keith Byers. I'm probably missing somebody. I don't mean to disrespect anybody. And Campbell was washed when he was in New Orleans. He wasn't very good when he was in New Orleans. I played with Barry Sanders in Detroit. I played with Barry when we were teammates for a short time in Detroit. Tremendous player. I played against Marcus Allen. That's right. Very nice. Forrest. Okay. So, circle back. One of my breakout players is going to be Milton Williams. My second breakout player for the Eagles this year is going to be Micaiah Becton. I think this guy's going to be the best free agent sign of any football team this offseason. God forbid this guy stays healthy. I think you guys got yourself. Say it with me. Who's the guy that manned your left tackle position and is going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame? This guy could be Jason Peters. Micaiah Becton can be Jason Peters. Okay? Could be Jason Peters. And you drop him in at the right guard position. So here, just listen to this, because you're looking at the name: Lane Johnson, Jason Peters, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, and Jordan Mailata. That might be better than the 22 line. So you got Phil Simms saying Micaiah Becton's a stud. And yesterday you had Brian Baldinger going, yeah, I agree with Phil. Stay healthy, man. He is an earth mover. He's one of the most powerful men you'll ever see in your life. He's powerful. And now you have Jeff Stoutland coaching him? Good grief. It's like Dr. Frankenstein with Micaiah Becton. You got Dr. Frankenstein Stoutland with Micaiah Becton. There's not a person that I've spoken to that has, you know what Carl Dunbar said about that move to me about a month ago? Hey, yeah, the kid Huff, he goes, no, that kid Becton they signed, it looks like just another, dude, we wanted him massively to play in Pittsburgh. The Steelers went all in on him. They offered him more money. You hear that? They offered him more money to go to Pittsburgh. He went, no, I want to go with Dr. Frankenstein Stoutland. Hey, I didn't know shit about Micaiah Becton. I didn't know shit about him. I thought he was a bust with the Jets. I may have even said that. No. Phil goes, no, hey, the Jets did not want to let him go, but they didn't want to give him another contract extension because it would have been up there. So they let him walk out the building because they had to. I am so high on this guy. Of all the players that you have brought in that have been new, Micaiah Becton is my favorite football player that you have signed this year. You know why? Because Dr. Frankenstein Stoutland is going to reinvent this guy. Man, I think the guy could be an all-pro. No, not Pro Bowler. All-pro. Chip goes, what about Keegan? Be his understudy. A guy who is in the conversation of having the power of Jason Peters, and you got a young kid in Trevor Keegan playing behind him. I'm not sure how that's a bad thing. And you got a swing guard in Keegan that can go in for Landon and also for Becton. Will somebody do me a favor? Prince goes, because other people told you, people I respect, like Brian Baldinger and Phil Simms, guys that have played the game, unlike the people you listen to that write about the game. Yes. See, that's the difference with our show. There's a few people we get on here that write about my game, but most of the people that come on here are people that played my game. Then I respect. Yes. Yes. So Prince can listen to all the people that write about the game. I'll listen to the people that played the game and know what a good tackle looks like. How many times do you think Phil Simms has had his ass kicked because of poor tackle play? How many times do you think Phil Simms has had his ass protected because of great tackle play? You think Brian Baldinger knows about playing in the NFL? He played 10-plus seasons in the NFL. Prince, I'm not really killing you. I'm just telling you that, to me, I listen to people that played the game. Okay? Guys, please do me a favor. Hit the like button. Thank you guys so much. You guys have been absolutely sensational, man. Yeah. Breakout player, in my opinion, is Mekhi Becton. And the other guy I have is Milton Williams. I'm not in feeling Sills. Prince, no. I'm not really ripping you either, man. I'm just making a statement. I don't really listen to people who cover the game. I listen to people who played the game. That's why we have players like Randy Cross and Baldinger on, and Phil Simms and guys like that. Don't you want to hear from people that played it instead of wrote about it? What position did Mark Holmes play? I don't know, man. He got scared. He's not on today. I don't know. I think you guys ran him off. Hey, Stevens goes, Odyssey has blackballed the ESP from appearing on your show. Hey, I think they may have. I haven't seen him on WIP either. Seals, would you let Becton play right tackle when Lane leaves, or move Jordan there and have Mekhi play blindside? Good conversation. I leave that to Dr. Frankenstein Stoutland. Okay? I leave that to Dr. Frankenstein Stoutland. Here's my last guy. I got 3 guys that the Big Sills breakout players of the year. This is going to be a little different. It's Jordan Mailata. You're going to go, wait, he just has been now given the 3rd highest salary of any left tackle in the game. How could he be a breakout, Sills? Because now it's time to replace Trent Williams. And it's time to replace that guy. You have the ability now to be that guy. Strong, physical. He is the best. He is the best athlete on the Eagles. Nobody's a better athlete than Jordan Mailata. No one. 6'8", 350, 360. Runs 5 flats. Played rugby. Never played football in his life. Now he's the 3rd highest paid left tackle. Why? It ain't because he's average. It's because he's spectacular. I think he's the best position player you have on your football team. He's Jordan Mailata. I've never seen a story like that. Dude, it's not that he did it. He never picked up a helmet or a football in his life. He didn't even know how to put shoulder pads on. Get this. Forte goes, AJ's a way better athlete. Not close. So you think AJ can just pick up a sport and go play pro baseball? Or do you think AJ could go play rugby where you got to play both sides and you get killed all the time? I don't. Not a chance in hell AJ Brown is going to get hit like that in a rugby game. Mark goes like this. Lane Johnson's a better athlete. This guy didn't know how to play football 5 years ago. And now he's the 3rd highest paid player in the league. Get this. Whether or not you think he was a good rugby player, he didn't know how to play football. He didn't know how to play football. Didn't know how to play football. Imagine that. Yeah, I'll try it. Now you're starting left tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles, being coached by Jeff Stoutland. And now you have a chance to be the best player at that position in the sport. Can you imagine this? Jordan Mailata becoming the best left tackle in the NFL. Never played ball before in his life. Name me another O-lineman in the history of the sport that's ever done that. Can you? Can you name me a left tackle or any O-lineman that never played ball, high school, college, pro, until 5 years ago. So are you saying he didn't line up against the best players in college? He never played football in college. He didn't play football. He's never played it. He's even recruiting players from rugby league. We have another guy that Stoutland can develop. Jeff Stoutland's the best thing that's happened since Jim Johnson. He's your best coach since Jim Johnson as a position coach. And he's your best coach since Doug Peterson. Jeff Stoutland, if he wins a Super Bowl and he wins, I guess he's got one. If he wins another one, Jeff Stoutland will be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame like Don Coryell as a contributor. And he'll go down as one of the greatest offensive line coaches of all time. Alec Gibb is the best coach that's ever lived. The creator of the zone blocking offensive line, the Denver Bronco, back-to-back Super Bowl teams. Alex Gibb, in my opinion, is the greatest. The guy up in hey, guys, do me a favor. What was the guy's name that was up in New England during all those years that Brady won those Super Bowls? Who was the name of that guy? I forget that guy's name. That was up there in New England. I think he's the greatest offensive line coach of all time. Skargaski or something like that. I can't remember the pronunciation of the name, but he won, I think, 6 Super Bowls up there when he was with Bill Belichick. Howard Mudd's a great offensive line coach. It's a great offensive. Skarnecki. That's it. That's it, Shooter. Thank you. Dante Skarnecki. That's right. He's the greatest O-line coach that's ever lived. Okay. He is. He's the greatest. Howard Mudd's a great one. Alec Gibb. I think the guy, Callahan, that's not with Tennessee, that was in Cleveland last year, was also phenomenal. Hit the like button, folks. Very good, man. First hour, we got 102 in. Stout may have developed 6 or 7 Hall of Famers when he retires. RTF, I completely agree. I mean, he's on right now. Lane's going to be a Hall of Fame guy. He's absolutely going to be a Hall of Fame guy. God knows what Mulata's going to look like, and God knows what Landon Dickerson's going to look like. And who knows with Cam Jurgens. That's why I really don't have an issue when it comes to Cam Jurgens here. So my breakout players are going to be Milton Williams, Micaiah Becton, and Jordan Mulata. I think these guys all make these next steps. And those 3 players, I am expecting phenomenal things in the year 2024. Yeah, Bill Callahan is a heck of an offensive line coach. Everywhere he's gone, they've done great things. Sills, what do you think of Keegan? Love the kid. Love the pick. I think it's one of the best picks that Howie had in the draft. 37 starts at Michigan. I'm with Baldy. We said it on the day after the draft. I absolutely love the pick because of what he brought to the organization and what he brought to Michigan. And you get Jeff Stoutland coaching him. Okay? Imagine if Peters had gotten Stoutland sooner. Jason Peters is a first ballot. Get this, James, when the conversation comes up and Jason Peters' name comes up, when all those Hall of Fame voters like Jared Bell, and by the way, Jason Cole joins us at the bottom of this hour from Yahoo Sports. When those guys bring their list of names to me, Peters will be on my list. Jason Peters is the first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no debating it. There is just no debating. I think Lane's great. He's not better than Jason Peters. No way. No way. And I think Lane, and I think the world of Lane. Okay? He's just, Lane's a Hall of Famer. Okay, so we're talking about maybe a second ballot versus the first ballot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's no shade here. These guys are going to have a bust in Canton. Who's the most athletic person ever played in the NFL? Probably Dion. Something like that. Deion Sanders. Probably the most gifted athlete. I didn't say the toughest. Ferrari versus Lamborghini sales. Correct. All right, guys. Xander, where are we on the hit list when it comes to the likes? What do we got here, Xander? Where are we? We're trying to get to 260 today. Where are we on? We're at 108. Great job, guys. First hour, we got 108. That's great. If we can keep that up each and every single hour, that will be fantastic. Hit the like button. Jason Cole. We have some questions for Cole as we get closer, 75 days out. Plus, tonight, the schedule drops. We're going to look at that as well. We will do that. Please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Hi, I'm Jim Muehlbronner, Managing Partner at Del Valle Insurance Group. Give us a call. We're a local, knowledgeable agency, not an 800 number. Go Birds!
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Do me a favor, please hit the like button. Jason Cole will join us in a couple minutes at the bottom of the hour. We appreciate everybody coming aboard. We're trying to get to 260 likes. You guys have been insane great. Insane great. We so appreciate it. Sills, you prime Peters better than Trent Williams? Jason Peters and Trent Williams in their prime. Just know how great Jason Peters is. He's 42 years old and he still gets calls to play. Do you know what a GOAT move that is? No, we're trying to get to 270 likes today. Thank you, Mitch. Hey, do you know what a GOAT that is? That they're begging you to play? Man, I wish I had that in my life. Please play. We'll give you $3 million. Please? I don't know. Please? How old are you? 42. Please play? Good grief. You know what a GOAT move that is? That teams call you and beg you at 40 plus years of age to play. That's so GOAT. Man, I have utmost respect for Jason Peters. Jason Peters is like, yeah, you know, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I'm not going to training camp. All right. Here's $3 million prorated. All right. Jesus criminy. It's so great when you got a guy that turns down jobs in the league and he's in his 40s. He's closer to the AARP card than he is to being in his prime. I mean, this guy in a couple of years is going to be able to apply for an AARP card. It's crazy, man. So to answer the question, Trent Williams or Jason Peters, I don't know, man. I think that is a compatible comparison of those two guys. Those two guys, that is, I'll tell you what, I think he's better than the left tackle that played in Dallas for all those years on that line with Emmett. Man, I hate not giving an answer. I don't know. I don't know. Jason Peters or Trent Williams. Maybe Trent by a razor. Maybe by a, they're both first ballot. Maybe Trent by a razor. Okay, just a razor. Okay. I can remember when we got Jason Peters from Buffalo. You know, the one thing I will say, man, he traveled around a lot. You know what I'm saying? He traveled around a lot. You have to give it to Peters. He has a tight end turned OT more impressive. Trent Williams is a great football player, dude. He's a great football player. You know, as we said yesterday, some of the things that we got heat for yesterday was that I said that Jalen Hurts was the least skilled player in your huddle. That's not a non-fact. Jalen Wishbone Hurts is the least talented player in your huddle, but he's at the most important job. No matter what, hey, how many people would go like this? Baker Mayfield is the most important player. Wait, the most skilled player in the Buck huddle with Mike Evans in the huddle. Would you ever say that? You would never say that. You would never go down that lane. I mean, hey, no, don't get upset that I called your boy a wishbone quarterback. He's the best wishbone passing quarterback I've ever seen. It's all good. Don't worry about it. We'll get a good sense of it this year. Don't be mad because he's Jamal Holloway that can throw. Stop it, Sills. You know Hurts is the best running back in the league. Oh, no. They remind me of his rushing touchdowns all the time. Do you know who's got more? You know Jalen Hurts is second in the last 2 years in rushing touchdowns? I think it's the Derrick Henry. How's that for you? He ain't second in touchdown passes. He's second in touchdown runs. Yeehaw. So he's a running quarterback. Hey, wait a minute. How about that? He's closer to leading the league in rushing touchdowns than he is in passing touchdowns. What does that tell you? How about this? Xander, how about this stat? What do you think Jalen has a better chance of leading the NFL in? Leading the league in passing TDs or passing or rushing touchdowns? What do you think he has a better chance of? Dual threat. No, ain't no dual threat anymore. Look at Christopher lying through his teeth. Passing TDs? So wait a minute, let me get this right. Last year, the number was like 40-something that led the NFL in pass. I think 37. And last year, I think 18 led the NFL in rushing. He had 15 last year, so he was 3 off the pace. Oh, okay. You're right. He was 22 away almost from the passing touchdown number. But he was 3 away from rushing. Oh, I see. Oh. All right. Yeah. Because of the tush push. All right. Do you just not like mobile quarterbacks? No, I like quarterbacks who win from the pocket. That's where Super Bowls come from. Not from dual threat. Josh Allen led the league, I think, but got bounced in the second round. Yeah, let me see. He got bounced in the second round by who? Patrick Mahomes? You got bounced by Baker Mayfield in the first round. Is that right? All right. He will lead the league in TDs as a dual threat quarterback. Now the guy in Buffalo will do that because he throws for TDs. Okay? He throws for No, Christopher, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts are not the same. One guy's a passer and a runner. Your guy's a runner who's trying to be a passer. There lies the difference. And got a lot of weapons. He should do well. By the way, let's look at the schedule before we get Jason on. Man, we got a lot of topics. Schedule drops tonight. Sills, we get it. You think Hurts ain't shit. That's not what I said. And if you've been listening to the program, that's not what I say. Until the season starts and proves himself. So I guess we got 2.5 months of you dumping on Hurts. No, I'm telling you what he's accomplished so far. Don't get mad because I point out what he's done. Marcus, I'm not talking about what he's not going to do. I'm talking about what he's done. Do you really get that mad over me looking over a guy's career? You did it to Wentz. What's the difference with Hurts? He's under the same scrutiny as every quarterback and other 32 starting guys in this league. He's not Teflon to it, especially when you're making that money. I'm sorry. It comes with the territory. Did you see that thing, that Pivot podcast that Brady was on? Did you hear what he said? This is something that I think Jalen Hurts should take a listen to. Tom Brady goes like this. You know why he likes C.J. Stroud so much? Humility. And you know what else he said? God, he's a great teammate. Just listening to him, where he came from, where all the pressure came from, how he handles himself, how he wants to be a teammate. He goes, how he embraces and how open he is. He goes, let me tell you something. You want to play 20 years in this league? I had to be the best teammate I could possibly be. I wasn't standoffish like Britton Covey and some of these other guys are saying that Jalen Hurts, including Fletcher Cox and some of the people in the locker room, were questioning the leadership of Jalen when it came to having the organization have him not as accessible. Jeff Kerr went on Birds 365 and said that Hurts wasn't as accessible in 23 as he was in 22. Xander, am I wrong when I say that? I heard Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports, who's not Dan Sileo, who doesn't say, I heard him say that, and he's in the locker room. I heard him say that. It just seems that the organization has made it so he's not as accessible. You know what Brady said? Brady goes, hey, man, I was accessible at all times to my teammates, no matter who they were. Tanner McKee is your guy then. Why is he on the roster too? They don't have a playbook for that type of quarterback. It's a Howie pick. It's a Howie pick. Time goes. Hurts went to the big game. Garoppolo, Jake Delhomme, they all went to the big game too. Brady was like, hey, you want to play 20 years? You got to embrace everybody on your football team. You got to embrace everyone. My number one job was to be the best teammate I could possibly be. I knew I needed my teammates with me. Let me ask you this. Do you think that Jalen Hurts had his coaching staffs back after the meltdown? Do you think Jalen Hurts had his teammates after the meltdown when the things were starting to go sideways and him not taking accountability and getting in front of the mic and going, "This"? Have you ever heard Jalen Hurts say, "This is my fault"? That game was on me. I lost the Super Bowl. Have you ever heard him say, "I'm responsible for the 1-6 meltdown"? Have you ever heard him say that? Have you ever heard actually anybody in that organization, including the general manager, take accountability for what happened? I haven't. I heard him say, I have to play better. We have to be there. I've heard all that. But I never heard him take accountability for him saying, that was my fault that we had a collapse. Show me that, where he said it was my fault we had to collapse. It's my fault that Brian Johnson got fired. Show me that. Show me that. Show me that. He should have in the Jets game. He tried to. When did he say that I got Brian Johnson fired? It was my fault. When did he say that? I missed that. No. If you remember right on Wednesday after the Jets game, he had to walk it back because the organization made him walk it back. I don't ever remember that guy talking after the season about how it was his fault that the team failed. I never heard that. I heard Brady and Mahomes and all them guys talking like that. That's the problem with Aaron Rodgers too. Sills, he doesn't need to say I got Brian Johnson fired. I heard Josh Allen say that. Hey, it's my fault, man. It's my fault that Ken Dorsey's been fired. I didn't play good enough. And it's my fault. I heard him say that. I heard him say it publicly. It's my fault. I didn't play well enough. Too many turnovers. That's my fault. You know what that does to your teammates in the locker room? Anytime you take accountability like that, and I'm echoing what Brady said, because Brady goes, hey, you make all the money, you get all the fame, you got to humble yourself in that room. Because there's a lot of guys in that room that aren't going to make the money, that aren't going to have the careers, that aren't going to have any of that. Not going to have any of that. You got to take it. That's the one thing I hope he does more and is a better leader at this year, is that just taking accountability. Hey, don't take victory laps when shit's going well. And you put that stupid-ass knee brace on and you don't go on the IR at any time. Those are excuses. Those are built-in excuses for your failure. If you're hurt, you're hurt. No one's going to deny it. But when you never go on injured reserve and you're wearing knee braces, stop with the theatrics. Stop with the theatrics. It's built-in excuses. Hey, I'd like to get a little consistency in here when it comes to coordinators. Well, go talk to your GM. Go talk to your GM. Have your GM get you a play calling head coach. Either back your head coach or get him fired. Do one or the other. You make $50 million. I mean, hey, just be a better leader. That's all I'm asking. You know, when you're sitting there going like this that comment that he made 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, well, you know, I don't really have a lot of consistency here in Philadelphia. You're never going to when it comes to coaching. That's not what the organization is built on. It's built on the front office, people in the room 30 years. And if you don't know that dynamic by now, son, you'll never. I mean, Shanahan choked another Super Bowl. Love to see it. Kyle Shanahan is a play-calling head football coach that will not be fired because of losing. He'll be fired because of not winning the Super Bowl. Your coach is going to be fired for not getting back with that talent to the Super Bowl. There's no job he has. Shanahan's a play caller. He's taken 3 different quarterbacks to Super Bowls. You know that? What's your guy done? Actually, 4. Kyle Shanahan's taken Matt Ryan, Jimmy Garoppolo, Colin Kaepernick. No, excuse me. Kaepernick was Harbaugh. So he's taken Matt Ryan, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Brock Purdy to a Super Bowl. I mean, Shanahan is 0-3 as well. Okay? Understood. You are playing against Tiger. It's not like he's losing to Joe Flacco. He lost to Brady twice and Mahomes once. Imagine that. Who do you think he's losing to? Rex Grossman? He lost to Brady twice. He lost to Brady in Atlanta. He lost to Mahomes twice. Forte goes, Sirianni lost to Mahomes and then lost his play calling duties. Well, he never had him in that Super Bowl because he wasn't the play caller. He was a pom-pom waver. We're actually talking about coaches here, dude. Let's not forget that. Coaches who coach and develop quarterbacks. Sirianni hasn't developed anything but a 1 game over 500 record as a play caller. He was 2-5 his first year, correct? And last year, what was he? They were 11-6. So he's 13-11 as a play calling head of the offense. Congratulations to you, kid. That's quite a record. Quite a record. But the NFL is one of the only places that could make a day like this into a day. The schedule release. We're 75 days out from the start of the National Football League's training camps, and our good friend and Hall of Fame voter, Jason Cole, joins us now. He joins us here on the National Football Show. Jason, it's the only time in the world that you get the NFL that can make a day where the schedule release is a day. I mean, these people have, without a doubt, they have absolutely mastered the sports calendar. It's insane.
Oh, it's awesome. You get so many Christmas days, right? You get the first day of free agency is Christmas Day. You get the draft, it's Christmas Day. You get the schedule release, it's like Hanukkah and Easter rolled up into one, right? Like it's fantastic. I really enjoy it. And then the best part is analyzing the schedule and then having sort of the stones to say, you know, that stretch in December could be really bad for your team. Yeah, it could. It could be really bad for your team. But we have no idea what your team's going to look like after all the injuries that you've suffered by December. So why don't you just worry about September? Like, get yourself to week 1, okay?
Do you agree, Jason? One thing I will throw at you, though, with that, if you're the Dolphins, aren't you looking at this? I hope my road games in New England and Buffalo are early on the calendar versus late in the calendar. I'm not saying that dictates whether or not home field advantage or you win the AFC East, but isn't that something you kind of like look at if you're somebody, say, like even Buffalo having to go south and play Miami or having to go down and play another out of division game like Jacksonville? Don't you look at those games like that and prepare on how you're going to prepare, especially if you're Miami?
I think your two things about the Dolphins. Number one, you want September games at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Because those are almost nearly automatic victories for you. I think the Dolphins have like a 750 or 800 winning percentage September 1 o'clock games at home over their history. The road games, look, somebody once asked me on the Herald website, and this is 15, 20 years ago when I was still covering the Dolphins, why does it seem like we always play in Buffalo, New England in December, blah, blah, blah? And I looked it up. There had been exactly 40 years of playing games in Buffalo. They had played 10 games in September, 10 games in October, 10 games in November, and 10 games in December in Buffalo. So the league evenly distributes it over the years, and you kind of can anticipate if you've gone a 4-year stretch and you haven't been there in December, and I haven't looked at the Dolphins schedule lately, but you can anticipate that you're going to get a December game once every 4 years. So I don't know what it looks like this year, but you can anticipate that and you can know. And so you just, better warm up. The other thing that the NFL does try to do is, and I think this is smart, is have your division games played, a slate of your division games played in December so that you have meaningful in-division games going to determine who wins that division, or at least hope you can, because that creates more excitement at the end of the year, especially for some lackluster games. Like when you've got a division where the winner might be 9-8 or even 8-9, it's hard to make that game attractive unless you've got two division teams and maybe the 8-9 is up for grabs between those two teams.
Jason, what's your takeaway that Netflix now is getting 2 Christmas games and that the NFL seemingly is now moving even more so, obviously, with Amazon on Thursdays? Now you've got Netflix taking these Christmas Day games. What does that tell you about the next television contracts that are going to be coming up in a couple of years here? Now you've got streaming services. And by the way, from what I understand, they're separate to the broadcasting, like CBS, NBC, and ESPN. That's all separate to that. How do you think that changes the economics of the NFL?
Look, I just want to know that when's the day that Amazon is going to buy NBC or CBS? When's Netflix going to buy, ESPN?
Or Apple?
Right. When's Google going to buy one of these companies and own both the TV and the streaming rights and all the other things that go with it? Look, someday in the future, I don't know if that's 3, 5, 7, 10, 15, or 20 years. I have no idea. All sports is going to be streamed, and TV eventually will die. It'll exist in some forms so that bars can, broadcast games. But we're going to get past cable television, regular television, broadcast. It's all going to be streamed. And it's just going to be a competition to see who owns those rights and who owns those companies. And that's how I've always looked at it. And that's the direction that this is all going, because those companies are $1 trillion companies.
You think we'll see the Super Bowl streamed one day?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's how people watch stuff now. I mean, the younger, like I taught class at the University of Florida, years ago, and there was a point at which none of the kids in the class owned a television.
My daughter didn't.
What?
My daughter in college didn't have a TV set up for television. Right. She had it set up for gaming and also for her computer for going and streaming.
Yeah, she would stream her stuff off of a TV, right? Well, off of a smart TV, right? Well, that's what they do. They don't buy, packages that include classic over-the-air broadcast television. They just don't. And like all of them, I sit here, I go, how would you watch games? What do you do? Well, we figure out a way to stream them, or there's a TV in the dorm, the big room of the dorm, whatever the living room area, we argue over which game we watch, right? That's how they handle it. Well, that's the next generation of viewers. They're not going back to television the way that we know it. They're going to stream all of this stuff. Now, having said that, look, I think that the TV companies will find a way to exist because they own their content, but they're not as powerful as they used to be. The internet companies are the power brokers, and streaming is going to be the way that people watch and consume media.
Two last questions here for you, Jace. Some of the comments going around the NFL, and I'll pick two teams here. Without Stephon Diggs, Buffalo will be what?
They'll win 12 games.
They'll still win 12 games, in your opinion?
Yeah, they'll win 12 games. I'm not worried about Buffalo in the least bit.
Me too. I'm not either.
To me, the important question for them is two-part. Number one, is their defense improve and become a little bit more consistent? It wasn't as bad as Buffalo fans want to make you believe, but it needs to be better at getting turnovers and giving more opportunities to Josh Allen. And the flip side of that is Josh Allen. Is he going to improve and stop turning the ball over himself? If you solve those two questions, Stephon Diggs is nice. You want to have good receivers, but they can find a way to replace him. I don't see a big problem there.
Who has a better year, Russell Wilson or C.J. Stroud?
Is that a real question?
Yeah, because I think Pittsburgh is going to be a good football team this year, and I don't think he has to do as much as Stroud has to do with carrying his football team, and their strength of schedule is the 5th hardest schedule in the NFL this year.
They being Houston, you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, look, strength of schedule always bothers me in the NFL because it's usually pretty even, right? This is not like college.
And plus May 15th, like you said, we don't know injuries, how the rookies, free agents are all going to play in.
Right, and there's a lot to play out in there. Now, but to answer your question, look, C.J. Stroud's just a better player.
He is.
And so I'm taking the better player in that bet. And while recognizing, look, Russell Wilson could certainly have a great year, but is he going to beat Justin Fields? Is that actually going to happen? To me, that's a lot more even competition than we've let on.
Oh, you think that Mike Tomlin's really going to put that position is still up for takes there between Fields and Wilson?
Look, I think it's like 65 or 70.
Huh.
Right, like 70-30 that it's Wilson. But Wilson's not playing good football.
No.
And Justin Fields, I always say, look, Justin Fields has his flaws, and they are obvious, they're present, all of those things. But there's a lot of room where he can improve. And if he can just improve enough that he's more functional, he's a dangerous, dangerous player. And he can do a lot of really interesting things. It's on him. And I also think Justin Fields is one of those guys, sort of like along the lines of a Ryan Tannehill or a Rich Gannon. Now, more talented than those guys. Don't get me wrong. More talented than either one of them. but like along the lines of guys who need to learn how to play the quarterback position. And if they learn how to play the quarterback position, we'll have a better last 5 years of their career than maybe their first 5 years of their career, if that makes sense.
It surely does. Jace, thank you so much, man.
No Harrison Butker? No questions about Harrison Butker?
Hey, wait. Hey, throw it out there, man. I know you're busy, man. I would love let me hear it.
Part of me sits there and I've got some respect for Harrison Butker applauding his wife and for living the kind of life that they want to have, right? But I also look at it and go, dude, you're talking to a bunch of people who are graduating from colleges. A lot of them are women who just spend $35,000 a year, in hopes of going out in the workforce and getting jobs. And you're telling them that what they've been told about going out in the workforce and getting jobs is diabolical? Okay? I mean, forget, the pride stuff bothers me by itself, right? Like, that's just dumb, right? Blaming Jews for the death of Christ, that's just dumb, right? He's just a big dummy when it comes to that. But you're standing in front of women who, again, paid $35,000 a year to go to Benedictine college. They want to go out in the workplace. They want to get jobs. They want to do this. And you told them it's diabolical? Get out of here.
Hey, now my daughter's going to hear this and watch this and go like this. Hey, Dad, that guy's not a friend of yours. No. No, man.
But wait a second. She went to college, right? And you're expecting she's going to get a job, right?
Oh, you're damn right.
Yeah, right. And she's going to go out in the workforce, right?
Right, absolutely.
And bless her heart, she goes and gets married and has a wonderful family and does all those things. But she's going out in the workforce, right?
Yeah.
That's not a diabolical scheme. I'm sorry.
I don't know how that's even a conversation. Why would you spend $150,000 on college to call something diabolical? It doesn't make sense to me. I mean,
dummy. You're a dummy.
It just doesn't make sense when you say shit like that. I mean, like you said, man, it's Neanderthal thinking, and I don't know, man.
Look, again, God bless him if that's the life that he and his wife want to have. Good for them. Great for them. Perfect. But that's not what those girls in that audience were doing. That's not what they're thinking. I'm sorry. They went to college to get jobs.
Absolutely not, man. No way on the planet. Jace, thank you, my friend.
Anytime, dude. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. That is Jason Cole, our Hall of Fame voter. We appreciate him doing that. Please hit the like button here. We're going to continue on here. I see people in the chat room here talking about what did I see? Something about Jalen and the upcoming season here. I agree, by the way, with Jason Cole about the Bills. We've got a bunch of questions we're going to get to about teams, and my question marks were some of the teams, not all 32. Okay, not all 32. Okay, what's this say? You do realize only around 20% of the coaches call plays, right? Do your research. I will. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at the teams that have won Super Bowls that have play callers. Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan has been to a Super Bowl. 3 of them. Look at the Matt LaFleur's doing right now with Jordan Love. Isn't it funny that almost every single one of the teams in the NFC all have play calling head coaches except that bum in Philly? Know that? Hey, that guy in Philly's a bum. He's not qualified to be a head coach. He's not. That's okay. This is his last year. No matter what he does, if he wins, he loses his job. If they lose, he loses his job. And as far as I'm concerned, the sooner the better. I can't wait. Nick Sirianni's a bum. You know why? He has no job. We actually have guys in here that think Nick Sirianni's a better coach than Andy Reid and Doug Peterson, because they won 4 games and their last year in Philly. Reid's going to go on to become the winningest coach in the history of the National Football League. By the way, you got to understand something. Less than 1% have no autonomy when it comes to picking their coaching staff, too. See, the one thing LJ tells you, 20% of the coaches in the league are play callers. Almost all the winning coaches, Mike Tomlin picks his coaching staff. Nick doesn't. John Harbaugh picks his coaching staff. Nick doesn't. Remember that. And if they don't, you're a head coach that's a play caller. Kyle Shanahan picks his coaching staff. Nick doesn't. That's a fact. We know this. And it was pointed out by me, and we were validated by that. Know this. Who has more power, you think? John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, or Nick Sirianni? Who? That's not even a fair question. That's not even a fair question. It's not even. Feels great at flipping a topic for it to benefit his narrative. No. What did I flip? Nick has no say in his coaching staff. So he is not a CEO. You guys are making, get this, people that want to say that shit want to put Nick Sirianni in the same category with John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin. Those men actually are in control of their locker room and their coaching staff. Hey, Nick, go get me a Kreller and coffee. Two sugars, dude. You might as well get one for Howie, too. Oh, my God. By the way, I can't wait for August 31st. I cannot wait for August 31st. Canes versus those shitty Gators. Oh, my God, is that going to be a great week. And it's in that shithole, the swamp in Gangsterville. Oh, man. Hey, do you guys know the very first game ESPN ever broadcast was the University of Miami versus the University of Florida in '84 at Tampa Stadium? That's the first game they ever broadcast, was our game at Tampa Stadium. And, of course, we beat them scumbags. Hey, Howie, Gators are going down. Gators are going down. Hit the like button. Gators going down. How you doing? If Nick Sirianni's a bum, when the Cowboys coach's last 30 years is trash juice. Okay, fair enough. And congratulations. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Hey, Crowley goes, Gators and Canes both sick. I'm thinking you meant suck. Hang in there with Temple, man. I think they got a really good ping pong team. Hey. Hey, Brian, I think Temple's got a good ping pong team. From what I heard. Fantastic stuff there at Temple with that ping pong team. Hey, here's Dick Train. The Hurricanes suck. No more cheating or paying players. Oh, just Hall of Fame players. How many did we get in last year? 2? Did we put 2 in last year? I forget. What was it? Johnson and Devin Hester. I think we put 2 Hall of Famers in. Yeah. How many schools are putting multiple players in the Hall of Fame every year? That'd be us. How you doing? Ain't nobody from Toledo. Holy Toledo! That's what the new line's going to be. I'm going to get a T-shirt. Holy Toledo! Oh, man. Holy Toledo! Did that guy just get burned on that deep route? Oh, holy Toledo! Yes, sir. Brian, holy Toledo. Let's take a look at his schedule here a little bit. Looks like some of the first 3 games have been leaked out here. Packers, Eagles, Brazil. That's a loss. 0-1. You guys will probably beat the Falcons. I think that's Monday Night Football, so there's 1-1. Then you got New Orleans. 2-1. Better get them early. You could be 2-1. That may save little Nicky his job there after week 3. He better be 2-1. Shit, man. They fired a guy who was 10-2. They fired a guy who was 10-2. Okay? They fired a guy who was 10-2. Week 1. Packers. Week 2, Falcons, Monday night. Week 3, Saints. Week 4, at Bucks. Week 5, bye. Week 6, Browns. There's an L. Week 7, Giants. Week 8, Bengals. There's an L. Sills, are there any franchise caliber quarterbacks that can replace Hurts in 25 if he shits the bed? Are you talking in the draft? It's a good idea. We'll take a look at that. Undefeated season, or Nick is gone. Come on, senor. Even I'm not going to. Hey, senor says he's got to go undefeated. Is Joe Burrow even going to make it that long? No. Okay. I can't go crazy there with that one. Hey, the Bucks, that's an L. After what they put on you, that's an ass beating. You couldn't score 9 points on them. Deshaun Watson, okay, look at Chris. Deshaun Watson, ha. Tyrod Taylor beat you. Drew Lock beat you. Ha. 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 Oh, Joe says I'm full of shit that Drew Lock didn't beat you. Right? Yahoo! Yes, sir. Zach Wilson beat himself. Oh, man. Man. Different year. Oh, I know. Mark, every year's been different for Wishbone Hurts. That's his new nickname. Wishbone Hurts. We'll see what Wishbone does this year. Let's see what Wishbone does. It's got to be a big year. I don't know, man. Wishbone better get it done. I would never call for a man to lose his job, but Nick Sirianni is not the guy or coordinator or strong and experienced with weak head coaching. It just can't work. I agree, man. I just can't. I just agree. Absolutely. And what impact is he going to have on Wishbone? I mean, hey, Flexin, Wishbone. That's my new name. I'm actually going to tweet that out. Wishbone Hurts. Hey, Niner. Come on, Wishbone. Hey, you can't play that poorly against the Bucks, Wishbone. You just can't. Oh, man. Oh, shit. Hey, got a lot of rushing touchdowns the last 2 years. Living in the past? No, I'm living off of what he's done. Come on, Wishbone. Do you think Nick would bench Jalen if he keeps playing bad? Troy, that guy has no autonomy to bench anybody or start anybody. He has no autonomy. Jalen's got 30 wins. Well, shit, in the last 3 years, Dak Prescott's got 36. Wishbone! Wishbone has 30. Dak has 36. Imagine listening to a washed-up diabetic Italian. Washed up is true. Diabetic is not. I'm offended. We better get off if they run the Wishbone this year with our dominant all. Hey, Chris, if they ran the Wishbone, they may go undefeated. They may go undefeated. With that old line, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Run the ball, dude. Dude, you would smash, but the owner would get all bent out of shape, and then you got to look at it, too. You're paying those receivers all that money. Hey, Chris, that's not a bad idea, actually. Sileo's the worst than Elliott Shitbag Parks. Josh, no. I don't sit there and write columns about somebody. It costs them their job. Where the guy loses his job the same day the article comes out. No, I don't do that. That's not what I do. I don't write it for NG.com. My editor signs off on it. And he loses his job that day because of that bullshit article. You put a narrative out there on him. Yeah. I've lost my job for dumb shit I said, not for stuff that I did research on, called people, interviewed people, then put a column out and cost a kid his professional career. How you doing? Come on, Wishbone. Week 9, Jags. How you getting this, brother? Jags 8:20, Sunday Night Football. Sill's NFL nickname was Damn. That's it, huh? Cowboys, 4:25, Week 11, Washington, Thursday Night Football. Week 12, Rams, Sunday night. Week 13, Baltimore. Week 14, the Panthers. Week 15, 1 o'clock, Pittsburgh, 4:25. Week 16 and Week 17, Washington Commandos to finish out the season. Gotcha. Someone leaked the schedule earlier, but no confirmation yet. Thank you, Andrew. Seals, do you think any post-June 1st cuts can help this team, just like Gardner Johnson? That was a trade, Tim. Howie made a trade, made a great one, too. Guy was making shit money back then when he was in New Orleans. I don't think there's going to be a cut that's going to be significant. I do think a trade. By the way, my company with Xander keeps posting $23 million in cap space. Okay, what's he going to do with it? You know why he's got $23 million in cap space? Because he went cheap on defense. You see what that Antoine Winfield signed for? He signed for $21 million. What was that guy's name that the Xavier McKinney that the Packers signed? He was $17 million. What did Howie do? He signed an $8 million guy, took half the money. He didn't want to upgrade the position. You don't think Xavier McKinney or Winfield are in the room with Gardner Johnson. Gardner Johnson's not in that room. He went cheap. $27.7 million bucks. You know why? Think about that. Howie Roseman has $27.7 million in cap space. To do what? What's he doing with it? Is there a massive trade coming? I mean, you got a couple weeks of June 1. 75 days of training camp. What are you doing with the money? Are you going to sign a quarterback next year? Are you going to take that money with a cap hit if you have to cut somebody? Justin Simmons is not going to cost them that money. Why would you want a 30-plus-year-old guy, another old-timer? Hey, you guys are pretty cool with that, the Eagles. You guys should really have alumni night or old-timers night at the link. You like signing old-timers. Old-timers night. So help me out on this. Why is Howie got $30 million in cap space? Because you know why? He didn't spend any money on defense. He didn't upgrade by signing another Reddick. He gave that guy Reddick's salary. So that's not an upgrade. He didn't spend more money on defense. Where did he spend more money on defense? Gardner Johnson. Where else? Where else did he upgrade? Where did he spend money? He's got $30 million because they refuse to spend money on a safety and a linebacker. Next year? Okay. So once again, Big Sills with Xander and with JAKIB validates the fact they did nothing on defense. You got $30 million of cap space because you spent no money on defense. You spent all your money on offense. I didn't know offense was the problem last year. You were 8th. You were 31st in pass defense. And you think you upgraded it with rookie contracts. How cheesy can you get? See, when those guys post that number, almost 30 million, validates everything I said. You spent nothing. Spent all your money on offense. I don't get it. 31 is old for a safety? Yeah. What 31-year-old safety is great in the game right now? Can you name me one? Or how about this? You want to pay $8 million for a safety at 31? You're paying $33 million right now, or you're paying $12 million for a 33-year-old corner. So here's what you guys want. You want a 31-year-old safety, a 33-year-old corner, and a 30-year-old other corner. I mean, what are you running? The geriatrics relay team? You spend any money on linebackers? Different year, buddy. Same result. You don't spend any money. Get ready for dead cap hits with Hurts. I don't think they're going to go there. Howie's definitely saving and building up for cap for next year for future payments with contracts. Dude, so you're not concerned about this year winning Super Bowls? That defense is not good enough. You guys keep going, well, Deshaun Watson. Dude, you can't beat Drew Lock. Howie will draft a quarterback next season, and Hurts will be upset about it. Depends on what round. He drafts a 5th rounder, Hurts shouldn't be upset. You draft a 3rd rounder, then you're starting to concern yourself. At some point, going to get another pass rusher. When's that happening? June 1st? Really? Who? You think you're going to get the kid from Cincinnati? Well, that guy's not going to be cheap. That Hendrickson kid, he won't be cheap. What's the guy that... Oh, I hear... By the way, I got an interesting text last night. Would you guys like to hear a little bit of somebody who got a phone call from Howie Roseman and Clint Hurt? And you guys are more than willing to post it or say whatever you want about it. Great guy. The Eagles have reached out to Calais Campbell at adding depth to defensive end to your team. And Vic's a fan of it, and so is Clint. So, Calais Campbell. Now, I don't know. No one's asking him to be a starter, Chris. You need some depth. Who's back? Hey, all right, Chris, who's your depth right now at defensive end behind Carter and Milton Williams? Who's your depth? Nobody's asking. I'm just talking about this is league minimum stuff. Didn't Sills play at the U with Calais? Calais was a little bit after me. You need depth. Not talking about starter. It's a depth piece. Tell you what, he's got more in the tank than Brandon Graham does. Brandon Graham had 13 tackles last year. He's depth. No one's saying come in and start. If Calais Campbell's starting for you, you're in trouble. Plus, he's a pro. He's a pro's pro. Would be great to have someone around Carter and Davis this year since Cox is gone. I would love Calais Campbell to be a player-type coach. Brian, right, and he's former Walter Payton Man of the Year. One of those kind of guys, too. Brings tremendous character. In my opinion, he's the greatest defensive end my program has ever produced. He will be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He's got over 100 sacks in his career. He's been a better pro than he was in college, believe it or not. I mean, and to have a depth piece, say he could get, and again, you're not spending a lot of money. You're not spending a lot of money. And he would be just a rotation guy, just to give guys breaks, Milton Williams and Jalen Carter. I don't mind the truth, but sometimes you're I guess, on crack. Jalen took the team down the field to take the lead, only to have the shit defense give it up. Is that against the Bucks? I missed that game. Plus, you would have a veteran guy that would help you. You said going cheap isn't upgrading the defense. Dude, I'm trying to help your defensive football team right now. When you were in free agency, you did dick to upgrade your defense. Except at one position. You just moved money around and more question marks would huff. Gardner Johnson's the only upgrade. We'll see what the rookies do. We'll see. We shall see. Greg, who? Who? Sean Taylor was the best Kane player I have ever seen. I think it's Ed Reed. Sean's there. Devin White isn't an upgrade? Absolutely not. Guy's a trash can. I'd rather have Zach Cunningham. He outplayed him last year. Look at his PFF numbers. Guys, please hit the like button. Okay, please hit the like button. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to come back and talk about question marks that are in the National Football League and some teams we wrote down. Philly 500 likes Devin White. Too bad the Bucs didn't. Too bad the Bucs didn't. I can't believe we got no linebackers. I mean, a good veteran linebacker, a halfway decent veteran. Hey, Brian, how about this? Did you see what's going on in Pittsburgh? Mike Tomlin has already Peyton Wilson as the guy that's going to be calling all the fronts and plays. And did you see also, too, Colson with the Chargers? He's also the front runner to be the top guy to set the fronts, and he's going to have the green dot. So Peyton Wilson is getting the green dot. Okay? You guys drafted a guy from Houston Christian or something. Houston Christian. Hey, Sills, I think it's funny. Beginning of last year, you said Devin White was a run stopping. I did. So did the Bucs. Then the Bucs moved off him. So when the Bucs quit on him, why would I stay with him? He underperformed. Going into that year, he still had high quality. Senior or some of these, Dennis, the Philadelphia Eagles moved off of Carson Wentz after giving him $40 million a year. Teams move off of players, dude. What are you talking about? Are you under some impression? Did Howie Roseman move off of Andre Dillard? Yes. Did he move off of Derek Barnett? Those were first-round picks. What happened to Jalen Reagor? Did they flip-flop on them? Yes. Did they or did they not? Look at the Eagles. They moved off of Hassan Reddick. I like Yannick, but I think he's a little too old. I would try to trade with Carolina. I like that linebacker, too. He was a beast at LSU. Greg, he was good, man. Okay? He was good. He's a good player. Absolutely. Take a look at the NFL. Is there really that much coaches that are accomplished what Nick Sirianni? Then why was Nick fighting for his job? Philadelphia? Why is he still fighting for his job? Why did they take all of his coaching strength away? Why does he have no say in the locker room if he's so accomplished? Or do you think that's a lie? Philadelphia believes that Nick Sirianni calls all the shots in the locker room. He believes he hires all of his coaches. He believes that it was him that fired Sean Desai and put Matt Patricia. Do you actually believe, Philadelphia, that Nick Sirianni hired Matt Patricia last offseason? Do you really believe that? That was his call? That was his call? There is it front and center. Who do you believe? Let me get this straight. I want to see how many people will finally come to and have a come to Jesus conversation. Who do you believe hired Matt Patricia last year? Nick Sirianni or Howie Roseman? Who do you believe made that hire? Who made that hire? GMs hire coaches? No, they don't. Not in Pittsburgh. Not in Los Angeles with the Rams. Sean McVay hires him. That's a fact. Baltimore, coach hires him. You think Doug Peterson is having Trent Baalke? Guess what? Stupid ass take LJ thinks that Trent Baalke in Jacksonville is hiring Doug Peterson's coaches after the fiasco in Philly with his assistants. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that he thinks that that general manager, Trent, how many people believe that Kyle Shanahan is hiring people, John? I know, John Lynch, that's not the case. Do you know who actually is more influential in the hiring in San Francisco? It's Mike Shanahan. Why isn't Mike McCarthy fighting for his job? Because he's in the same role that Nick is. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. By the way, I don't think Dak had a shitty season last year. Threw for 4,600, finished second in the MVP. Mike McCarthy had a quarterback finish number 2 in the MVP voting. Like your boy. You're naming Super Bowl winning coaches. Those are the only ones. I can promise you that Matt LaFleur picks his own assistant coaches in Green Bay. You know why? When you're a play calling head coach, you don't really have to worry about a wide receiver coach or a running back coach. You can do that shit by committee. But when you're the head calling, play calling coach, that's your game. And if some of those organizations want to collaborate on hiring a running back coach when you're a play calling head coach, have at it. The major decision in the room, like in Los Angeles with the Rams, you know what he does? Get me the most experienced defensive coordinator I can possibly find. Get me the most experienced guy I can possibly find. Wade Phillips, Raheem Morris. Not even a play calling head coach. How about being a qualified head coach? Completely true. Guy's a clown. So Sirianni aids other coaches to become head coach. No, he has nothing. Dude, he had nothing to do with Jonathan Gannon and with Shane Steichen. Those were recommended, and it was said on our show by Frank Reich when he was the head coach of Indianapolis. They all worked for Frank. Don't you remember who recommended Frank or who recommended Nick? It was Frank. Frank said it here. The owner called him. Sirianni is more likely to F up the Taco Bell order than to make a meaningful decision in this organization. Don't you remember Frank on this program? He's been on 3 times. Said that Jeffrey Lurie called him because they were in the beginning stages of moving Wentz to Indianapolis. And he recommended Sirianni. Do you remember him saying that here? Howard Eskin took sound bites and played it on his show on the weekend. Xander okayed it. Howard played it. What are you making? I recommend Nick. And they went, oh, because those guys were talking about some bullshit over at IP about Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley. Talk about a guy who has no idea what defense is. There's your great guy right there for that. So Rake said he's a friend of mine. No. What he did was he said he understands the organization and how the analytics department has a lot of say. And by the way, I showed you guys my correspondence with Frank Reich on this program, I don't think you were here with that, Xander. Tone was still here with us. And I was showing you, Frank says, all game plan decisions and all of the analytics on building the game plan come from the analytics team. They put the game plan together and they work with the coaching staff. Do you understand? You got guys who have never been involved in football in their entire life are playing a football game by percentages instead of gut feeling. You want to know why your coordinators weren't thought of last year to be any kind of impact? Because they were non-important to them. It didn't matter who was. Remember what Nick said to you also? Hey, it's my game plan. Brian just calls it. It's not his game plan. It's the organization's game plan. And that's why they fell apart, because they were trying to win games from the general manager's box. This is the frustrating part about your team. Clearly. What about our coordinators now? Well, what have they done? You're making your coordinators sound like they're Super Bowl champion coordinators, and they're not. And they're not. Sean Desai was 10-2 when he got fired. Is that a bad hire? You fired him at 10-2. And he had beaten Tua, Mahomes, Allen, Dak, Mayfield, Stafford. He had beaten all those quarterbacks. But he was fired because why again? All right. Xander, where are we, my friend? Give me the count. Give me the count, my friend. We're trying to get to 260. We're at 168. Guys, we got to get that number up. Come on, please. Let's get to 268. When we come back, we are going to look at some of the questions around the National Football League as we are 75 days out from the start of training camp. Also, tonight, the schedule drops. I see some of the schedule has already been released, kind of not been confirmed in any way. But if you guys will hit a little bit more on that, plus at the top of the hour, we'll reset. Joe Theismann's going to join us in the next couple days, too. And I'm going to go around first the NFC East, and then we're going to go into the NFC. We'll go to some of the teams that you guys are going to play. Wonder how it would have shaped out with Desai. Never know. They panicked. Nick Sirianni panicked. Along with, you know why he panicked? Because he allowed people that weren't qualified coaches to make decisions for a locker room. And that's why the players quit. That's exactly why. Q. You had front office guys and CPAs and lawyers making coaching decisions in season that was catastrophic, and you self-inflicted wound yourself. You panicked. Once you saw the Cowboys and the Niners beat the piss out of you, you panicked. Hey, losing games happens. Chiefs lost to the Raiders. It's not about getting beat mid-season. It's about winning the last game of the year. Look at RTF. Purdy quit on his team during the NFC Championship. Gutless. Well, at least I'd rather be hurt and quit than play in a game like Wishbone did versus the Bucks and only score 9 points. What's his excuse? Talk about gutless. At least Purdy was hurt. What's Wishbone's excuse? Baker Mayfield? Is it true that Lurie's son is the head of analytics department? Yeah. Here's your future GM. Sills, you had your time. Come on. All right, Prince. Do me a favor, guys. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Hi, I'm Jim Muehlbronner, Managing Partner at Del Valle Insurance Group. Give us a call. We're a local, knowledgeable agency, not an 800 number. Go Birds!
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Please hit the like button. We're trying to get to 260 likes. We so appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Big year for Wishbone. It's going to be a big year for Wishbone. Can he turn it around from 2023? Going to be big. Big year for Wishbone. Will he or will he not, Wishbone Hurts, turn it around? We'll see. All right. Gotta say, man, Justin Fields was a dick to Nick Foles in Chicago. Now, you guys help me out on this. Was Nick a jerk when he was in Philly? I haven't really been around the player. Was Nick Foles a dick? He just doesn't seem to be that kind of guy. It looks like his teammates really embraced him. They liked him. He just doesn't look like he's that guy. But reports are now coming out of Chicago that Justin Fields was a jackass to Nick Foles. And every time Foles was trying to help him on something that he would see, he'd go over to him, or they'd be in a film study and he'd say, hey, that high safety there. And the guy would roll his eyes. You know why? Because Nick Foles wasn't a first-round pick. Maybe Howie was right not to bring him in because he could be a problem. Think about it. I don't want him in the locker room either. What hurts if you're going to be an asshole? It's one thing if you're there and you know your role. It's another thing when a veteran guy who has a Super Bowl championship and a Super Bowl MVP trophy that has been at the pinnacle of our sport, and he offers you up some advice on something, and especially the way that kid played in Chicago, he should be like Velcro to him. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's all you needed was something like that in your locker room. Hey, I was all for bringing in Justin Fields, but if he's an asshole, not me. Now, he's going to have respect for Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson is accomplished, and he looks at him as a different character because he probably looks at him differently because he was a starter for all them years. He looks at Nick Foles as a substitute teacher. What a jerk. How could you be, dude, when you're in that league, any bit of advice that anyone gives you that could help you become a better player, listen to it. You don't have to apply it, but just listen to it. I mean, here's the stuff that Brady talks about, being a great teammate to everyone. My question is now, is this true though? I hope not. Me too. Philly Eagle fanatic? Me too. Yeah, me too. I hope it's not. Hey, senor. Dude, of all guys, guy who beat Brady and Belichick, and you're going to dude, I'm listening to that guy. Hey, what'd you see here? You see the too high safety guy? When that free safety drops down like that, he's cheating. Move him over with your head, slide him around, roll your eyes at him. I'm listening to everything. Can you imagine? Nick Foles figured out the Rubik's Cube known as Bill Belichick for that Super Bowl, along with Doug Peterson. They figured out the Rubik's Cube and won a Super Bowl. Don't you want advice from that? That's egomaniac, not knowing better and being a stupid young kid, not knowing someone's offering you a key to the city. The real young guys who get that quick, they understand it. You got to listen to that Pivot podcast that Brady's on. He talks about locker room decorum, and he talks about how he handles his teammates. He goes, man, if I wasn't the best, and I said it earlier, he goes, man, if I wasn't the best teammate on the planet, okay, and I wasn't the best teammate, I would never have played 20 years. Never have played 20 years. Hurts has got to do a little better job of that himself. Goff was bashed as well in LA and went on to be great in Detroit. I'm going to bring that up here in a second too. Let's see here. Coaching staff figured it out and focused on Foles' skill set. Well, because you had professionals as head coaches. Not like last year where you had training wheel coaches and a cheerleader. That's basically what you had. You had a head cheerleader and his girls with him. They didn't know what they were doing because the front office thought it was more about them. See, the front office's ego got too big off of 22. They were taking too many victory laps. That's what Howie did. You know what's funny? Howie had a Super Bowl appearance hangover more than anyone else did in 23. Coordinator hires were an example of it. He took victory laps. You see what he does there? I don't know, Xander, if you saw it too. The lesser the experience you hire as coaches, the more of a spotlight is on the GM, not the head coach. Howie thought he put a bigger spotlight on himself. Instead, what he did, he diminished 22 by hiring the ineffective coordinators. That's right, RTF Sills. He thought he could just get used parts and get back. That's right, and then get this. He thought he could make 2 new guys instead of getting experienced guys and make them into coaching candidates. Hey, don't you remember too? Guys were saying that Brian Johnson was a head coaching candidate. I heard people nationally. I heard Tony Romo say that. Isn't that wild? So what do they possibly know about covering the Eagles? I heard Tony Romo early in the year, last year, when they were talking about when you guys were like 10-0, that Brian Johnson was a head coaching candidate. Remember? They were all saying it. That he's a head coaching candidate. And I was like, what? Are you watching the team? Not that they were awful at undefeated. Fly Eagle goes, the national guys never. No, they don't, because they cover the team from 35,000 feet. And your propaganda department, known as the PR department with the Eagles, and they got a pretty good group of propaganda people. They'll feed anything to the local guys. The local guys will feed into it, and the national guys feed into what the local guys are saying. Nick's a great coach. He makes all the decisions. He makes all the hires. So the national guys are just going to go with it because you know why? They're like Stephen A. Smith. They're not going to do their homework. That's what they do. You understand how important the local guys are to be fed bullshit, because the national guys are just going to Google the column, read the Inquirer, listen to a soundbite from the flagship station of the Eagles. No negative comments, no criticism. And that's what their national narrative is. Am I wrong? They jumped too fast. Hurts was an MVP candidate before the last 6 games. What are you talking about? Hurts was an MVP candidate before the last 7 games. Bro, stop segmenting a season. Is that how you read a book or watch a movie? You watch half of it and you only take the good parts of it? What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? Don't you hate when people do that? Like Bayless will do that all the time. Mayfield played good for 6 games. Did you see him in those 6 games? 6 games. Does it make a season or a career? What are you talking about? He's taking steps and Sills, I do that? What? When did I say that Jalen Hurts played well last year? When have I said he's my quarterback? When have I said that he's shown consistency? First year starting, second year, third year, all different. Oh, 1-6 stretch. Oh, yeah. Hey, Prince, because the 1-6 stretch had home field advantage in the AFC East wrapped up in it. You were fighting for home field and you were fighting for the East. That's why the last back end of that season matters. It's because you lost all of it and you became a wild card. And then you played awful versus the Bucks in the playoff game. Do you understand? Within a matter of 2 months, hell, Keith Byers came on this program and said you weren't playing championship football, and you didn't since Thanksgiving. Now you're trashing coaching. They sucked. I agree they shouldn't have been offensive, defensive coaches, but nobody had nothing to say before the losing streak. I did. I said it after New England. Everyone on my network was bashing me when you guys kept putting up 10-0, 9-0, 8-0. Not me. I was like, that team ain't what you think it is. We'll see. And by the way, it's not a victory lap by me. Nobody wants to see anybody have a meltdown. Nobody wants to see somebody fail. You know, that's people who have never played and have never sweated and broke their bones. Maybe I have to put that out there. I don't pray for failure. People put too much into it, Brian. They put their hearts, their souls, their mentality, their passion. They put all of that into being a football player. So I don't root for that. I just do not. I've never rooted for a player to fail in my entire life, unless he was a complete toolbox. I have never rooted. You enjoy I told you so? No, I don't. I actually am more glad when a person like Lamar Jackson proves me wrong. I said that guy'd be out of the NFL in 5 years. And that guy has 2 MVPs in the last 6. You said Jalen Hurts played well given Brian Johnson and Clown Sirianni coaching him. Senor, if well to you means 50 million, I misspoke. Well is not good enough to win a Super Bowl. Well, okay. Well, that's far cry from spectacular 22. Well and spectacular. Let me move on to some national stories. By the way, please hit the like button. Where are we, guys, in that number? Forte. One more time. He can have all the interceptions on the planet. He's got the same winning percentage as Jalen Hurts does, Josh Allen. And he's won 4 consecutive AFC East crowns. Keep hanging on that one stat, kid. But he wins as much as your guy. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. As a matter of fact, I want to double check that. Let's take a look at that. I want to double check that because I got to be careful with that. Let's see. Jalen Hurts' win percentage, 605. Josh Allen's win percentage, 605. Jesus, the last 2 years, Josh Allen's had an 813 win percentage. Ooh. Let's see. What's Josh Allen's win percentage? .670. This guy wins more than your boy. Jalen's .605. Josh Allen's .670. How you doing? .670. Yeah, but he throws a lot of interceptions. Hey, he wins more too than your guy. Doesn't. Hey, he wins more. He wins more. Damn, that's quite significant. So you're telling me for the years that he's been in the league, he's still winning at that clip, almost 70. So he wins. Jalen wins 6 out of every 10 games that he plays in his career. Allen wins just about 7 out of every 10. How you doing? Woo! With less talent. Wow. How about that one? Hurts 3 years. I know, and you paid him. For what? Jalen Hurts 1-0 versus Josh Allen. Drew Lock 1-0 versus Jalen Wishbone Hurts. Drew Lock 1-0. Put Hurts on the Giants. He's Dimes Jones. You put Wishbone on the Giants. He's Tyrod Taylor. Baker Mayfield 1-1. Oh man. Come on, Wishbone. Come on, Wishbone. Yes, sir. All right. So if you're Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, Chris goes, Jalen beat Mahomes in Kansas City. And Mahomes beat him in the Super Bowl. Okay. Jalen's 1-2 versus Dak. 304. Thank you for the super chat, dude. Hey, 304. I'm glad you're here. I have a question for you. So if Jared Goff gets $53 million annually, what should you pay Dak? What should you pay him? $304. What should you pay Dak? If Jared Goff got $53 million annually over the next 4 years, wow, Niner all day. You're going down 60, right? $60 million. Senor says Dak gets a little above Daniel Jones money. You'd pay him 40. That's a pay cut. He's not going to take $41 million. Absolutely not. What's Dak's record against winning teams? You mean like the Eagles? He's 9-4. So Andrew, you're going to personally, I think this is a tough one. 304, are you going to pay Dak Prescott $60 million? Or are you going to move off him and try to get Shedeur Sanders? Can you imagine if the Cowboys tanked this year and they win 5 games and they get up there and they get a chance to get Shedeur? You might get a chance to hire Dion as the head coach too. You talk about a television show. Got to take a pay cut to get some talent in there. Senor, get this. Hey, Senor, do you think there's any coincidence that Patrick Mahomes is the 9th highest paid? I understand the value of his contract, but when it comes to annual salary, you know he's the 9th highest paid. Brady was never the highest paid guy at any time in his career. I think maybe Tampa, where he was the highest paid guy in the league. I think there's something to that. Paying Dak $60 million, man. Boy. And they do not do what the Eagles do. The Eagles are cap responsibility. I mean, hey, look, paying Hurts is way out of line, the money they paid him. However, it doesn't kill the team. It kills the owner's pocket. It's not killing the team. Like the contracts that they signed in Philly doesn't kill the team. It's just big money deals. Guys are not living up to the contracts. Come on, Jerry's going to pay him 80 IQ. Man, I don't see it. How much money has Mahomes gotten up front? I know. I think it's a value deal that they got there too. I've seen Hurts beat Kansas City, and Allen and Rodgers. Okay. I've seen a guy who's a mediocre passer. We'll see, man. Paying Dak. You just paid. Now, golf is more accomplished. It's kind of that Brady and Allen conversation or Brady and Rodgers conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of the Brady and Rodgers is the better talent. Brady's the better quarterback. Do you pay for resume or do you pay for stats? Because Dak has the stats. He is not worth more than Jared Goff. You know what? Adam, you may be right. Goff's been has been to one Super Bowl, 3 NFC championships, and Dak hasn't been to any of those games. I forgot he's been to 3 NFC title games. You're right. Okay? You're right. 304 says thoughts on Mike Zimmer. Fabulous defensive coordinator. Know Mike well. Has a Super Bowl ring. Was there with Switzer when he won his Super Bowl. I think he was a DB coach, 304. I think he's going to be an impact in your run defense. Mike's a no shit guy. I think he's an upgrade to Dan Quinn. I think he's a better coach than Dan Quinn. I think Dallas will be better on that side. And I could actually see Michael Parsons having a really good year because of Mike Zimmer. Michael put him in a better position to succeed than what Dan did. Dan is more of that, hey, this is my system. Do you fit in? Versus Mike is a guy like Jim Johnson. Hey, what's your skill set? What do you do best? And he finds a spot for you. And he puts you in a position of success. That's what he does. That's who Mike Zimmer is. Why didn't he get a head coaching job? Not sure you're talking Mike Zimmer. I don't believe Mike Zimmer is in that position any longer because that's not what the league's looking at. The league is looking at all the young analytical guys that work with the analytic departments. Look at the guys who didn't get jobs too. Hey, by the way, it wasn't just Belichick that didn't get a job. Pete Carroll didn't get one. Bill Belichick didn't. Mike Vrabel didn't. Why is that? Those are strong-willed coaches that want to have say in their coaching staffs. That should tell you all you need to know about Nick. Nick is in line with the rest of the league in a lot of places. Ownership wants to have more say in game planning. Look at New England. You know who was making the final call when it came to the draft picks? Ownership. They said it. Jared Mayo had no say. What would he know? Because why? He hung around with Bill? That's not why. And that's why the guy, what's the guy's name that interviewed for that general manager's job in New England? That was from the Eagles. What was his name? Hunt? That guy's perfect for what Bob Kraft wants now. He wants people that work with the front office and ownership. And I think personally, New England wants to have a benchmark on what Philly does. They don't want to have a head coach like Belichick any longer in there that has complete autonomy and running and hiring whoever he wants, making complete decisions. You have no control over your team. Bob Kraft had zero control. You think Bob Kraft gets any credit for building a great football dynasty? I think he should, but I think the best thing Bob Kraft ever did was not get involved. Now they're going to be involved. We'll see how that works. Look at how it worked for Jerry Jones. And this is what these owners I don't get. These owners that had so much success not being involved, like Jerry. 3 or 4, think of it. Jerry Jones's greatest time as an owner in Dallas was when he had no say of the team. Jerry Jones's biggest failures has been when he's had complete say of the team. I mean, look at 11 saying Kraft, thumbs down. Yeah, I know. You'd rather be 1-3 than Bob Kraft's 6-4, is it? Let's see. Parcells went to a Super Bowl with him. He owned the team. So that's 7 AFC championships. 6 with Belichick. Oh, wait. No. 9 with Belichick. So it's 10 AFC championships since he's owned the team. Let's do that again. Bob Kraft, according to that guy, 11-17. Bob Kraft has won 11 AFC championships. Jeffrey Lurie's won 04, 17, 20. He's won 3 conference titles and 1 Super Bowl. And you'd rather be him, huh? Of course, because he's Philly. Seals, you only get bashed because you are realistic and bring the delusional fans back down to earth. Gooby, it's called being level-headed. How many people, after the draft talking about Quinyon Mitchell and all these guys? I like they address needs. Okay? I like they address needs. That's what they did. And one more thing about Kraft. So here's the coaches that he has had in his last 3 head coaches prior to Jared Mayo. Pete Carroll, Bill Parcells, and Bill Belichick. All 3 are going to Hall of Fame. Three, prior to Jared Mayo, Hall of Fame coaches. Now, I would say this to you. Lurie's done a nice job, too, because he has not had a coach with a losing record since he's owned a team. That's tremendous. That's tremendous. In your entire ownership, you've never had a coach have a losing record. It's pretty impressive. Jalen played poorly, point blank. Baker Mayfield got paid $30 million a year and outplayed Jalen on every level the back half of the season. Well, that's how he got paid. He got paid because Baker Mayfield settled down. And Baker Mayfield settled in. And by the way, Todd Bowles is a great coach. I think Todd Bowles did one of the more underrated jobs. A completely great job of coaching. And then what did he do? He blitzed the shit out of Jalen because he knew he couldn't handle it. Wishbone couldn't handle the blitz. Held him to 9 points offensively. Ran it up on them defensively. And it was over. Gooby goes, Sills isn't a hater. He's trying to keep the Philadelphia fan base from becoming delusional. Yeah, you don't want to be Cowboy fans. That's right, Gooby. I'm not. Gooby, it's more frustrating. They should be further along, like the Ravens, like that kind of organization. Should be more like the Ravens. You know? Great draft picks defensively, offensively. Great hirings of head coaches. You know? Multiple Super Bowl championships. You know, great organizations. Ozzie Newsome, Eric DaCosta. That's an organization that I like. Now, I would be critical for one thing, though, when it comes to Baltimore. Hey, if I'm Steve Biscotti, the owner of the Ravens, I would make this comment. Hey, John, you can't have Lamar Jackson throwing the ball 37 times if you want to win a Super Bowl. And that's why they went out and they got Derrick Henry. That's why they went out and got Derrick Henry. It's all good. All right. Some of my biggest questions. I can't wait for the schedule to pop tonight, too. I see that, Professor. Week 1 Packers. This is about some of the stuff that's coming out. Week 1 Packers. Be a tough game. In Brazil, neutral site. Falcons, Monday night. Then the Saints. Then the Bucks. At Bucks. Do you get a bye early in the year like that? Whew. I'd want that bye in the middle of the season. That's really early. Wow. Back end of that schedule is going to – that bye is going to haunt the Eagles because it being after week. Dude, you're just out of camp. You're only a month into the season and you're getting a bye. Then you come off the bye and you play the Browns, Giants, Bengals, Jags, Cowboys, and you get no rest any other time after that. Then you get in the back end of that and you play Rams, Ravens, Panthers, Steelers, Commanders, give you trouble, and Cowboys. So week 5, I got a problem with that bye week. If that's the case, way too early in the season. I like that bye around the trading deadline. That's where I'd like to see that. Because then you get to rest your players, especially guys like Lane. And depending on how well Josh Sweat plays, early bye might be okay with new coordinators. It's a great take. Yes. I really hate the bye. Brian, I think it's just too early. So is this schedule easy? You know what? Quite frankly, Fly, we don't know that. You know, we have no idea. They're only going off the metrics of a year ago. You know, so you really don't know what you're facing each and every. I think every team is different. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think the Browns are going to be better. I think the Bears are going to be better. I think Atlanta's going to be a surprise team. That's going to be interesting to see what Atlanta looks like with Kirk Cousins down there. Now, no one's saying Kirk Cousins is a Super Bowl champion quarterback, but Atlanta will be significantly better. That's what I'm saying, Sills. I think it's difficult. It's a difficult schedule. I think it's difficult with the type of talent that you're looking at, like Cleveland, Baltimore, Green Bay. You know, those are good teams. Steelers, you know, the Browns, Cowboys, some good teams on that schedule. Nothing confirmed. Schedules leaked. I got it. Comes out later tonight. All right. Big Sills burning questions for the upcoming NFL season. I didn't do all 32. I'm going to reset. Xander, where are we right now in the number count? We have 1 hour left here on the National Football Show. We're trying to get to 260, no less than 250. Where are we? We're at 206. All right, guys. We are 44 away from the benchmark. Okay? 44 away from the benchmark. 60's the total. We need a little bit of help here. Come on, folks. Hit the like button. Keep it here. We'll reset. Big Sills burning questions. NFL 2024. We'll do that next. Keep it here. National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Hi, I'm Jim Muehlbronner, Managing Partner at Delval Insurance Group. Give us a call. We're a local, knowledgeable agency, not an 800 number. Go Birds!
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills National Football Show. I got to tell you, and I wasn't going to say this, it's good news. And I wasn't going to say this because I kind of wanted to keep it, we're still in the beginning stages, but I want to welcome Todd Cowell and Mitch, my friends, who are equity investors, on watching the program. I appreciate it. I'm glad everyone's enjoying the show today. Thank you. I think we got some big things happening here. Not going to go crazy or expand because I'm not going to jinx myself. I have a propensity to do that, to put the double whammy on. But yeah. And whatever you do, I'm going to say this to the guys who are watching. Don't put Big Sills in a position where it's fuck you money. It's over with. Even more so. It's over. And yeah. And these are people I worked with on Wall Street. Really great. Great news. Just got another email here. And the investor's been watching and they want in. And yeah, so all good, man. And by the way, it's totally because of you. Brian, dude, you got people wanting to invest in the show. Big money. Big money. Thank you. Please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. I think Wall Street Journal was created in 1889. Yeah, Wall Street Journal called me the most controversial sports talk host in America. I have that posted on my X account. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I like it. Sills, ask, who? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. He can come for the ride. I don't care. Are we saying some? Yeah. All good, man. All right. We're going to do the Big Sills 32 big takeaways for the upcoming season. We're going to reset here in a second. 75 days out to the start of training camp. For many teams, actually my daughter's birthday on the 27th, by the way. The schedule drops tonight. Okay. Sills, I ain't never heard you beg for likes in the past 2 years. 11. You know why I'm doing it? I'm doing it for all of us. And if I'm begging, you have a problem with that? Asking for your support. You're here every day, 11. Why? You have a problem with people humbling themselves? Or are you Jalen Hurts? What's wrong with humbling themselves? I think that is a character. I think that's a character thing. I think that's a quality that a man has. It's not a weakness, son. Belichick has been linked to Dallas. McCarthy, Dak, Zimmer, all in 1 year deals for a reason. They're also very high on Lance. All gone next year. Gooby, I don't know what Trey Lance is going to look like or who he is. I don't really think much of him. I don't think there's enough of a sample size. What's wrong with Jalen? I don't know. You should ask him. Maybe we'll figure out what happened at the end of the year. Maybe we'd find out. Sills, do you think the Eagles make a trade in June? Kyle, for who? He's got $30 million. Who are you significantly going to make a move for? Dre Greenlaw? He's hurt. Achilles injury. Niners aren't giving up on him. Who are you going to trade for? I would think they're going to, I hear even craziness that they may even be looking still for a number 3 wide receiver. Maybe edge rusher? Well, the only one that I would think that's significant. Now, here's who I'll throw out at you. You think the Raiders would move off of Max Crosby? To try to get draft picks? Would you give up a first rounder for Max Crosby? I don't want Parsons. I'd rather have Crosby. He's a better player. Joe goes, Max Crosby finished third in the Defensive Player of the Year award last year. And he's one of the better defensive ends. No. You don't have anybody on your football team better than Max Crosby on defense. What are you talking about? Well, let me guess. Bryce Huff. You think is better than Max Crosby? Really? Mr. International, Yannick was a good player when he was in Jacksonville, in my opinion. Max doesn't want to leave the Raiders. I don't think he does either. But most players don't have that say. And the Raiders have to get a quarterback. Let's go down the list here of Big Sills, big questions. Okay? for some teams, I didn't do all the teams because some of them are just so bad. You talk about playoff success, but you've had some of the worst coaches I've ever seen. All that talent, but you choked. Rolando, appreciate it, my friend. Hey, Dan, what is the weakest part of this team? I know it's defense, but what position, and can't we cover that position? It's linebacker. It's by far linebacker. I also happen to think pass rushing is in question. Is Bryce Huff a one-year wonder, or is he going to put Hassan Reddick year? Is he going to put a Hassan Reddick year up? Hassan Reddick in his time in 2 years put 30 sacks up, counting the postseason. Do you see Bryce Huff? How many people in here see Bryce Huff putting up 30 sacks in 2 years? Do you? You could say it. You can predict it. I can't dispute it. How would I know? But do you think that guy who's only had one season and 4 with double digits, the rest of them were 2, 3, 4, 3. Do you think Bryce Huff puts 30 sacks up in 2 years? Yes or no? I don't either. I think they'll be lucky if they get half that number. I think they'll be lucky. Okay. Now, Howie even said he's forecasting one season at 45%, get 10, he'll get half. Mike doesn't understand the reason that he only played 45% is because he's not good enough to start on first and second down. He couldn't start with the Jets. The Jets won 6 games. He couldn't start in New York. He was never a starter in New York. I say you play him 65% of the snaps, he won't last the year. Because he hasn't shown at any time that he can play 65 snaps. He had other over him and rotated more than we did. You didn't have anybody rotating at your ends last year. Who rotated at your ends? Josh Sweat played 900 snaps. Who was spelling him? What are you talking about? So you're telling me you think the Jets had a better defensive front than the Eagles did? The Jets. Really? You're making excuses for a guy who put up one season. They rotated more. He never started. He never started a down in New York because he can't tackle and cover. He's been there 4 years. He's been there 4 years. He didn't start. That's the problem, Sills, that people don't know how far they'll go if they humble themselves. That's right, Adam. There's nothing wrong with humbling yourself. Brady says it all the time. Brady goes, you got to humble yourself if you want to be a quarterback in National Football League. And if you want to win and win Super Bowls, it's the number one humbling position. And if you don't humble yourself, you'll never be a good teammate and you'll never play 20 years. You know, that resonated with me when I heard him say that. Brady went over and above to make himself look humbling, just like that roast. It's more important for Brady to have self-deprecation and for people to look at him like that he's not better than you when he's accomplished more than anybody in the history of the league. That is where Brady separates himself. It's not about you guys are missing it. You're looking at the bling instead of looking at the man. The man humbled himself for a reason. Even the roast is a prime example of it. He never wants to come off feeling that you think when you're in a room with him, he's better than you. I think there's a lot to be said about that. I think I could learn a lesson from that. I know I saw that Brady said he wishes he never did the roast. I'll add on because it affected his kids. He didn't mind a goose on him, but he didn't like the fact that it affected his kids because the mom got attacked. Totally get it. You know, it's one thing to have people talk shit on you. It's like watching your kid in a sporting event. I've never been more petrified watching my kid play in sports. You know why? I mean, it's one thing to have my finger. Look at this. It's one thing to have my fingers all broken up and my hands my hands are destroyed. Look at the veins in the middle. I've had all my hands broken. My fingers completely snapped. Everything broken. It's another thing to watch your kid get a broken collarbone or something. It's a terror show. I used to look at the clock, go, come on, man, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes, man. Please, 5 more minutes. I don't see it because Vic is going to drop him in coverage as well. We'll see how that works. I know mom jokes piss him off, so I'll keep saying it. Talking about, yeah, right? All right, let's get into some of these comments here that I'm going to make about some of the teams in the NFL. And you guys expand on it. Schedule drops tonight, by the way. Brady, too famous, pay cuts, won 7 Super Bowls because of it. Amen. Hey, Mr. International, isn't that humbling yourself a little bit? Hey, Mr. International, would it be fair to say that Bill Belichick wouldn't humble himself as much as Brady felt like he had to humble himself for his team? And that is where it lies the difference in the conflict between the two men. I don't think it had anything to do with taking credit for the wins. I think it had everything to do with Brady was more willing to humble himself. Belichick wasn't. Belichick was afraid to admit failure. Brady's not. I think that's the difference in the men. That's the difference. Brady's not afraid to expose himself to the public and his failures and faults. Belichick is. He's guarded. Most people are. Something happens. Our company gets attacked. I get offended by it. Xander gets offended. You're gonna respond. You know, it's human nature. I get it. But there lies the difference between Bill. I've always thought that was the difference with the two men. I don't think it really had anything to do because the way they talk, they both lovingly shared the success that they both had. But I don't think when Brady looks at Bill, that Bill's more willing to humble himself, where Brady talks about it all the time. Yeah. And I think that bugs him. Because to be a great teammate and to be a leader and to play that long, dude, you know what? Outside of that psychotic, crazy Antonio Brown, have you ever heard of a player talking shit on Tom Brady? Have you ever heard anybody say anything negative about him? Pete says Raiders are not trading Max Crosby. That would be awesome. Well, I wouldn't say that. They did trade Khalil Mack. Pete goes, they'll never trade Max Crosby. Well, Khalil Mack has a shot at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I mean, they did trade him. So he's not untouchable, in my opinion. He's just not. All right. Let's go down the list. And again, like I said, I did not name all the teams. This is the Big Sills, big question marks for the 2024 NFL season. I'm going to start in Buffalo. And I agree with you guys. Can Josh Allen carry the Bills without Stephon Diggs? I am saying he will. He'll be a better player. But that's a question mark going into Buffalo. I would also add, is Sean McDermott the right coach for Josh Allen? I think that is an intriguing job for whoever gets that gig if McDermott gets fired. Okay? I mean, if McDermott gets fired, boy, that job looks awful good. Whew. Could you see Belichick up in Buffalo going against the Patriots twice a year? And he's got Josh Allen beating the doorknobs off New England and building their defense back up again. What a job that would be for Bill. You bring in a coordinator like McDaniel with him, Josh McDaniels with him, or you keep Joe Brady, depending how Brady does this year. That is a perfectly fit thing. He knows the division. He's owned the Jets. He's owned the Bills. I mean, you build that thing up. And by the way, Belichick, 5 years, could they win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen and him? Yeah. They could. I think it's Allen has to show he can win without Diggs now. And McDermott, in my opinion, has to prove he's the right coach for Josh Allen. Here's the Jets. Did the Jets do enough in free agency and in the draft to validate the Aaron Rodgers trade? Let's take a look at that now. It's been a colossal disaster. Guy played 4 seconds or 4 minutes. And what have the Jets done? Have they improved their line? Yeah, we'll see. Is Joe Douglas improving the team? I think so. But has it validated the trade that the Jets made with the Packers? The Packers have gotten better. Have the Jets? They pushed all their chips in on Aaron Rodgers. And you sit back and you do this. Well, right? The Ravens, do they have enough quality players in their O-line to win a Super Bowl? You've got 2 star players, 3 really. Zay Flowers looks like he's going to be a star. You've brought in Derrick Henry, and you've got a 2-time two-time NFL MVP in Lamar Jackson, and you got a Super Bowl head coach. What else do you need? Baltimore, I think, has got as much pressure as San Francisco does. Dude, what else do you want? You know, you let Patrick Queen walk out. I get it. You don't want to pay 2 $20 million linebackers. I totally get it. But Baltimore, I mean, have you done enough? How many games will Joe Burrow play in 2024 in Cincinnati is the entire season for the Bengals? If he plays 17, they're in the AFC title game. If he plays 10, they're in the lottery again. They're in the lottery. You know, I mean, the Bengals' future comes down to whether that guy's upright. There's no other way to look at it. Steelers. Is their O-line good enough to protect Russell Wilson? Because you're going to have to. They've done a nice job. I mean, I love the organization. I love the stability of the Steelers. Texans. Will the young players continue to improve? What's the addition of Stephon Diggs going to look like? Boy, I'll tell you what, that offense looks awful good now, doesn't it? Diggs, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, and Stroud, plus Slowick, the play caller. Man, that looks good. Plus, you have an elite left tackle and Jeremy Tunsil. I mean, you got everything in that Texans offense. You've got Will Anderson on the other side of the ball. You're getting better. And you got D'Amico Ryans. I'll tell you what, man, you're going to have the fifth toughest schedule. So you may have less wins. But you got a damn good nucleus of a good football team. Nick Caserio has done a spectacular job at building that Texans team from what it was 3 years ago with the Deshaun Watson mess. Man, I'm telling you, good grief. There's no question why the Patriots made a colossal mistake in allowing Nick Caserio to lead the building. That's a Belichick failure. Yeah, Tank Dell, another great-looking football player that they have there, too. That's a great-looking team. That's a lot of – and get this, they're all young, except for Diggs. All young. Colts. Is the Colts defense ready to step up? They got the offensive personnel. Will Anthony Richardson know how to protect himself better? Dude, you're going to play dual threat. You're going to play Jalen Hurts 2022 football. Get this. Don't you think that plays? I wonder how much that plays into the Eagles' mentality that Anthony Richardson got hurt in Shane Steichen's offense. And so did Jalen Hurts get hurt in Shane Steichen's offense. You think that's a trend? You think that's a trend? That if you're the Eagles, that style of play, Shane Steichen's two quarterbacks have been injured 2 years in a row. One significantly in Anthony Richardson. Hurts missed what? 3 games? 2 games? You think that's a coincidence? I mean, do you just say it now? Just because if Richardson gets hurt again, yes, he runs his quarterback straight into defensive line and linebackers. I agree too, Brian. Shit happens. Both Hurts and Richardson with shoulder injuries. Interesting. You're right. That's even more to it, senor. How about that, right? Think about that. Shoulder injuries. They're not one with a knee or an ankle. They're both shoulder injuries. Right? That question requires deep think by Nick. It's not happening. Not a coincidence. Need to do less set runs for Hurts. You know, I hadn't thought about that until I started thinking here with this. Dallas versus Texans is equal to Lakers Clippers. Texans and Clippers are taking over their states as the best teams. It's crazy, isn't it, that the Clippers are better than the Lakers? How about this, Death Row? You ready for this? The Lakers are in the same shape right now, maybe a little bit better. And the two biggest superstars in the history of the NBA over the last 20 years are going to end on teams with losing records. I think LeBron James and the Lakers will have a losing record next year because the West is so much better. And Kobe ended up with some of the shittiest teams since Los Angeles moved from Minneapolis to LA. And yet they gave him a bag of money, and LeBron's going to get a max deal too. Denver. You really think that Sean Payton's going to start Bo Nix? I think he may have to. I mean, I think he he may have to start him. Right? Do you think his son gets drafted? Well, let me put it to you this way, Joe. He's talking Arch Manning at Texas, who's actually the third team quarterback in Austin. He's got a $4 million nil deal. He's one of the highest paid nil guys, and he doesn't start. He didn't have a bad spring from what I heard, and he's improved a lot. Steve Sarkisian has done a nice job with him. Look what the media is doing for Bronny James. Guy averaged less than 5 points a game at USC, which is not considered a hall of greatness for college basketball. Who was the guy? Who's the biggest star to come out of USC basketball? Was it that guy Minor? Do you guys remember that kid Minor back in the day who was drafted in the first round? Isn't that like the best guy to ever come out of USC hoop? Was that guy Minor? I mean, LeBron James's kid stinks. And you're trying to tell me he's going to be a good defensive guy and LeBron's going to get him drafted. Maybe the Lakers take him in the second round. Hey, Harold Miner. He's the only guy I could think of came out of USC. And now it's Bronny James. But Harold Miner averaged 25 points a game. This guy averages 4.8. 4.8. OJ Mayo and Harold Miner. Great. OJ Mayo. Yeah. Okay. OJ Mayo. Good night. So do I think he gets drafted? Yeah. Sills, there's always one team who's a surprising team this year. I think Atlanta. NFC South is not that hot. Maybe Arizona. Chicago. I think Chicago's going to win some games. You know, Chicago may have the best offense in the NFC North. The wide receivers in Kansas City, have they upgraded? Do you think Kansas City's wideouts are better than they were a year ago? Rashid Rice is a train wreck. You think? Right? Don't have to really worry too much about Kansas City, though, right? How about this one? These are Big Sills questions for the 2024 NFL season. Are the Raiders really going to go into the season with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew as their quarterbacks? That's why I say, if you're the Raiders, why don't you try to trade Max Crosby and get some draft picks so you can go into the draft next year to get a quarterback? What are you doing? So you're going to pay Max Crosby all that money and you're going to play with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell as your guys? You can't really be going into the September part of your season with those two guys as your starters. Aiden O'Connell. I can't believe Devontae Adams is still okay with being on that team. Has to be the paycheck. I mean, it just has to be that $28 million paycheck he makes, because you're having Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew throwing you the ball. Why don't you make a play for Justin Fields or Kenny Pickett? I mean, all right. Jim Harbaugh. Who are Justin Herbert's wide receivers? Are you going to win with that group? I mean, are you going to win with that group? Here's Dallas, 304. Who's your running game? You're one-dimensional. You're not beating the Eagles. I think the Eagles sweep you this year. How are you beating Philly? you have a shot because of the shitty defense. But if you don't get off the field and that football team runs the ball down your throat and you can't get off the field, like you won't. I don't know how you stop Philly. I just don't know how you stop Philly. No idea. How about this one? This is an NFC East one. How committed do you think the Giants are right now to Daniel Jones? How committed do you think they are? How committed? Sean, don't say 0%. There's 40 million reasons that they got to have some commitment to the guy. Salary caps and the cap hits are insane. AD committed as many Mark Holmes as to Wednesday shows. Hey, senor. Hey, you can't take the heat. You got to get out of the kitchen. No? That's what the Big Sill show is. Eagles can't take the heat. Get out of the kitchen. Mark Holmes can't take the heat. Get out of the kitchen. It's what it is, man. This is like the hot Sills league, not the hot stove league. This is the hot Sills league. Hey, Don. I don't think the Giants are very committed to Daniel Jones. Not that much. How good is that Bears offense going to be in Chicago? You know, people are saying that the impact that Caleb Williams has up there, they could make the play. Could the Bears make the playoffs in the NFC? Yeah. Yes. Yes. Can't believe Holmes didn't even message you directly. No, I learned it from Xander yesterday. Xander told me, it's all right. I get it. Big Sills, scares people. I get it. I understand. It's all right. Okay? I get it. The propaganda guy's over with the Eagles too. I scared them. I get it. Scare everybody. Almost said I'm coming back strong. I'll be coming back strong. We'll see, kid. Wait a minute. Mark, just so you know, and someone tell him I said this. Mark, how can you come back strong when you're a Cowboy fan? How in the world can you come back strong when you can constantly be shot down with this? The last time the Cowboys were relevant, the Pet Rock was in style. I mean, here, let me guess. The last time the Cowboys were good, the fax machine still worked. Let's see, what else? What was that one? Hey, Brian, what's the one before, what's the social media thing? Not Facemail, but what was the other one? Mindscape? What was that? MyScape? That was in fashion. The VCR was a thing. Payphones were still relevant. Yeah, MySpace was the big one. Let's see what else was good. Miami Vice was still on. AOL, you had to use the disc. You had to use the disc to put in like your tower. And remember, it like dialed it up and it charged you $19 a month. Remember that? Hey, Mark, that's the last time the Cowboys were good. Was dial up AOL. Hey, what is it? Face Jam or something? I don't know. Nintendo. That's it. The Super Mario Brothers were a thing. Payphones weren't around, or payphones were around. Yeah, cell phones were not. Oh my God, one of the greatest of all time. The Chia Pet. You put water on it. You sprinkled water on it, right? And the Chia Pet, let me see. It looked like Jordan's head. You know, like it was bald, and all of a sudden it grew hair. The Chia Pet. Remember that thing? YouTube wasn't around. No. Sills wasn't quite an asshole. Oh, man. Oh, man. Sears and Roebuck still had a catalog. Atari. Oh, my God. The Atari was great. Super Nintendo. You guys, that's right. Name me things the last time the Cowboys were relevant. Bill Clinton hadn't met Monica Lewinsky yet. Oh, some of you won't get this. Vince Foster hadn't passed away. Some of you won't get that. Some of you won't get the Vince Foster. Toys R Us was still around. Caldor's, one of my favorite places of all time as a kid. Caldor. Yeah. Okay. And right. Dear Abby was still alive. Or I think she's still alive. I don't know. Hee Haw was still on the air. WWF. Oh my God, a cassette play, a Walkman. The last time the Dallas Cowboys were relevant, the Walkman was a thing. Rolando goes, Joe Biden was in college. No. No, Joe Biden. Chicago Bears offense is similar to the Eagles offense. Prediction, Caleb Williams will have more passing yards than Wishbone Hurts. Caleb, $4,000. Rap was actually good. Sugar Hill Gang was a thing. Right on. Run DMC. It's the sneaker phone. Holy shit. Roy Rogers. Oh my God. That's hilarious, man. Blockbuster was a Tower Records were still around. That's right. Tupac was still a thing. Holy cow. Yeah, Michael Jordan hadn't been thrown out of the NBA yet for gambling, allegedly. Oh, my God. Let me finish this thing up here. Green Bay is going to be the youngest team in the league for the second year in a row. Is that going to matter? Oh, and how good will the Cards be? Those are some of the questions that Big Sills has for 2024. Oh, my God. Is that too soon, Forest Hill? Princess Di was still hanging in there. She wasn't hanging out with Dodi Fayed yet. Nope, she wasn't. That's right. Tapeworm, please. Oh, we should do this every day, Sil. The Cowboys, when's the last time the Cowboys were relevant? Voyager was still on its way to the outer Milky Way. Oh, my God. All right. Xander, where are we in the count? Let's see where we are. I need 250 minimum. I'd like to get to 260. Where are we in likes here, Xander? 243. We're 7 away. All right. Hit the like button, please. 7 away from the benchmark of 50. Let's try to get over it. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
Hi, I'm Jim Muehlbronner, Managing Partner at Del Valle Insurance Group. Give us a call. We're a local, knowledgeable agency, not an 800 number. Go Birds!
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Please hit the like button. I think Apple, Cosmo, was introduced in 1976 in Los Alamos. Then they moved the corporate headquarters to Cupertino. I knew him, but I knew Larry Ellison, who founded Oracle, more than I did the man who founded Apple. Larry Ellison used to call my radio show when I was on KMBR, and if you remember, because I was on during that time when they were going through the tech age, and they were putting that all together out there. And so I used to have lunch with Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison still is a big player. And Steve Jobs and him were dear friends. And Steve Jobs, I've met him a bunch of times. You know, they used to do a lot of work, believe it or not, with Gap. And those guys used to go to San Francisco Giant games all the time. And I mean, over at the old Candlestick Park. So really, Larry Ellison, what a great dude. And he found Oracle with those guys. And I haven't talked to Larry in a long time, But when I was on KMBR, I had him in studio a couple times. And I think we may have even had Steve Jobs in studio. I think we had both of them because they were trying to buy the Giants because they didn't want the Giants to leave to go to Tampa. And the guy from Safeway came in and bought him. And those guys did. I think those guys were minor. They may have been minority partners in the Giants, Jobs and Larry Ellison. I think Larry Ellison had a stake at the Golden State Warriors at one time too. He had a lot of money in that area, but it was more obviously in real estate and shit like that. Larry Ellison's a heck of a guy. I've been on his yacht too. Unbelievable dude. And a really eccentric guy. Jobs was interesting. Everywhere he went, he was a rock star. And if I'm not mistaken too, like I said, 76 was the first year that Apple came out, and he became the CEO, obviously, with Steve Wozniak. And he and Steve Wozniak are all from that area up there in the Bay Area. Steve Wozniak's still alive, actually. So where are we right now in the gun salute total with likes? Where are we here? Xander, we had 243 prior to going in to the break. Where are we now? Are you guys saying 262? Wow, you guys did it. Xander keeps telling me I lose my fastball. 262. Like to get 3 more before we get out of here. Tonight the schedule falls. I think it does matter who you play when you play them. Like that bye, I don't like the bye the 5th week of the season. I wish the bye was more in the middle of the year. Seals, can you sing the Eagles song? No, not yet. You got to do something great. Wishbone Hurts has to have an MVP. If Wishbone Hurts has an MVP season, then yes. Okay? Super Bowl only gets the song. Xander's put his foot down. I go with Xander. 265. Twiz. Joe. Joseph. Greg. Cosmo. Brian. Guys, I cannot thank you enough. We bust. You know what this show reminds me of, honestly? Can I tell you before we get out of here where this reminds me of? And my aunt will tell you. My aunt pops in and out of the show every now and then. I won't tell you her name, but she does pop in and out. Betty, doesn't it remind you of my grandfather's dinner table? A lot of breaking balls. I think this is where I got it from. I think my grandpa did this to me. I blame my grandpa. This guy right here. That's Brother Bear. That's my grandpa. That's my Uncle Rocky right there. That's my grandpa right there. The big dude. Right there. Yep. Right there's my grandpa. I think that's where I learned it from. All right, guys. You guys are fantastic. I thank you so much. You guys are spectacular. Joe, Xander, thank you. Please hit the like button. 2 to 6 tomorrow on the show that only matters in Philly, the National Football Show. We'll catch you on the flip side.